breaking real-world. In today's
Loans, fraud.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Sovereign Citizen Watch. How's everyone doing? Hoping your week is going well. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Today's Thursday, right? Happy Thursday, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. I'm coming down with something. Baja's been a little bit sick, and I think I'm getting it. Nothing super serious, just like a cold or something. So I'll be fine, but just might sound a little congested or something today, but we should be good. So welcome. Hope everyone is having a great day. We have some weird stuff to look at. We have more Chief Mahto. We have a brief update on the $1 trillion attempted sovereign citizen Lolsuit. Should be good. Have some fun stuff. I don't know if I'll go a full 3 hours today. Again, I have a little bit of a headache and I'm kind of tired. So I might get off early and like take a nap or just relax or whatever. But yeah, should be good. Just don't pay too much attention to my crackly voice. Again, I'm sick. Don't blame me. I think they're doing 35% off gift subs right now. So if you want to help support the stream, now would be a great time to do so on Twitch. You can do gift subs with 35% off, which is pretty awesome. So consider that. Outside of that, let's just jump into it. I don't think I have anything else. Cool beans. Let's start with this. This is just a courtroom video. I don't think we watched this one yet. I watched it in private, I believe, but I don't think I showed it on stream. Let me know if I'm misremembering. Bumble Homestead, thanks for gifting a sub. Much, much appreciated. History Chick, thanks for 47 months at Tier 2. Dr. Worm, thanks for 44 months. Oh, hey, VC Archives. How's it going?
Your name, please.
I am not. Forgive me. One moment. My name is what you asked for?
I did.
No, I'm not Peyton Ansley John Milton. I'm the agent authorized to represent Peyton Ansley John Milton as written in all capital letters.
Oh, you're crazy. Thanks for letting us know.
Thank you. And as to Mr. Milton, is there a competency concern, or is this
That's how you know you're winning court, by the way, is if immediately after the first thing you say, the judge brings up competency. That's how you win. It's like when you make your therapist cry. That's how you know you won therapy. We did it, everyone.
I am not represented by anybody besides myself in my sovereign capacity. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did have an opportunity to speak to him. I read him the reports. He was
Who is him?
Don't interrupt. I'm letting
I read
Ms.
him.
Langley
I
go.
read
Now,
him.
you just sit quietly.
Thank
I
you.
read him the report.
He's got that attitude some sovereign citizens get too, where he like thinks he's brilliant, and it's like he thinks he's starring in a movie and he's the Chris Pratt character. You know what I mean? He's got the vibe that he thinks he's Chris Pratt in a Chris Pratt movie. Fumble Homestead, thanks for a 3-stream streak, says, ooh, right off the bat with it.
So that he will understand the charges against him. He didn't wish to hear anything more about his rights, and he does not wish to be represented. Thank you.
All right. And as the agent for Peyton Ansley John Milton, you are indicating to me that you're quite familiar with Peyton Ansley John Milton, and that's basically you. Is that correct?
He's the representative,
I
obviously.
am the agent authorized to represent Peyton Ansley John Milton as
Okay.
written in all capital letters.
All right. And you understand, for my purposes, though that language doesn't make any sense. So
No, I do not.
I understand. Okay.
Does
Well, I'm
not
telling
stand
you
under
that,
your
and so I
authority,
am-
sir.
Until you disabuse me of the motion or the notion, I am inclined to believe that you are both the agent and the person. So, and it's in
I'm
all
not a
caps,
person.
by the
I am
way.
one of the people. Thank you.
Okay.
What's the singular of people, sir? If you're one of the people, what does that make you? A singular you're almost there.
Thank you. All right. So for the record, that's my finding. Yeah, hold on. We're not done.
Okay.
The little
You got it.
And thank you.
minute left to start a hype train.
Mr. Sharp, let me swear you in. Swear the testimony, probable cause application will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I so swear, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Sharp.
So this information comes from a report of Officer Evers. She responded to an unwanted person complaint at a 7-Eleven store located at 2425 Marvin Road Northeast in Lacey. Dispatch advised a male was refusing to leave the store and was being disorderly,
The singular of people is pea-pie.
yelling at staff. Upon arriving, Officer Evers contacted staff who advised her that it was a white male, approximately 5'5", with a beard, wearing green long-sleeved flannel. Staff advised that he was intoxicated and belligerent. They advised that at one point the male stated he would be waiting outside when they got off work. The staff advised that they asked the male to leave multiple times and he refused.
Wow, this is all over trespassing, too. It's one thing when it's a charge that'll cost a bunch of money, or it'll go in jail time. Like, it's nonsense to do anyway. But this is over, like, a trespassing charge? Come on, man. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 Tier 1 subs and kicking off a hype train. If you want to help support the train, like I said, gift subs are 35% off, so maybe consider it. Thank you very much again, Nemesaur.
They also advised that once they called the police, the male returned to his Toyota 4Runner, and the license plate is provided here, and then that it was parked outside the gas station. Staff provided a prepaid phone and a charger that the male had left on the floor inside. Staff stated that they didn't feel safe, wanted the male trespassed. Officer made contact with the male, immediately was able to identify him as Peyton Milton. Officer knows Mr. Milton is a local transient that lives out of his car, has had several social contacts with him. Officer Evers asked Mr. Milton if he was just inside the store. He stated that he was. He stated that he was too drunk to be held accountable.
Oh, buddy, I promise that's not how that works. I've been there. That's not how that works. I'm too drunk to be held responsible. I hope he gets help. That sucks, man. You'll be held responsible. That's how it works. Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean you didn't do it.
Officer advised Mr. Milton
M. Scheffler with 100 bits says, worth a shot. Is it?
that he'd be trespassed from the 7-Eleven, and he stated, I understand.
Midnight Wolf asks, now that you're interested in, not that you are interested in the drama, since you are into these court videos, have you seen the stuff on Johnny Somali in Korea? I have, and you don't have to say that I'm not into drama. I don't cover drama. I don't think it's, like, necessarily interesting to cover on my channel. But that doesn't mean I don't listen to it from time to time. I like the Johnny Somali stuff. It's crazy. That dude's a dick. That dude's a complete dick. I genuinely hope he goes to Korean prison. Fuck that guy.
And what you have to do.
Carpcosian, thanks for a 3-stream streak, says, I am too EP for life. How be the angelfish? I'm EP too.
Mr. Milton offered to manually push his car to a gravel lot about 25 yards from the 7-Eleven so that he wasn't on the property since he was too intoxicated to drive. Officer agreed and gave Mr. Milton until nightfall to push the car out of the lot. Officer provided Mr. Milton with his phone, and he replied, can I go back in and charge it?
Yeah, his latest charge has mandatory jail time attached to it. It's the deep fake. It's the sexual deep fake videos. Basically, he deep faked videos of him and this other streamer that he's in beef with. Not even beef, that downplays it. Basically, he's harassing people. Because he's like a streamer that, you know, goes out and harasses people for attention. Anyway, so he was harassing this other streamer in Korea, and he made a deep fake as a quote-unquote joke, where it's like he and this other streamer tongue kissing. Anyway, under South Korean law, that falls under illegal sexual deep fakes against the consent of someone else. Because that's a law in Korea. So, yeah, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. He also did sexual things to a statue meant to honor women who were abused sexually by the invading Japanese in World War II. The statues that are meant to commemorate, like the so-called comfort women. Yeah, fucked up. Fuck that dude.
Officer advised him that he could not charge his
Minute
phone
left on the hype train.
at this 7-Eleven, and that if he entered the store again, he would be arrested. Officer provided Mr. Milton with a copy of the trespass form. And then at 16:23 hours, staff called dispatch advising that Mr. Milton was back inside the store. Staff advised that Mr. Milton said he was too drunk to be held accountable, and that he left again once they called dispatch, and this time he again left his cell phone in the store. Officer then contacted Mr. Milton. He again stated that he was too drunk to be held accountable. Officer noted that Mr. Payton was intoxicated but functional and able to understand the officer's instructions. Officer advised Mr. Milton, that he was under arrest for trespass, detained him without incident. He was then booked into the county jail. Excuse me, the Nisqually jail.
On the charge.
To be clear, he's not Korean. He's from America. He travels to other countries and makes Americans look bad.
Criminal trespass first degree. Is the city making a motion to revoke the deferral on the assault conviction or
Yes,
on the
Your
assault case?
Based on the new law violation, yes.
Thank you. And let's see.
Now, will I get a moment here to articulate?
No, they don't do canings in Korea. That's, I think, Thailand that they do the canings. Is that Thailand? Somewhere in that area.
I'll let you know. So sit
Appreciate
tight.
it.
I'm still working through the process. Thank
Of
you.
course.
All right. So Mr.
Singapore, thank you. That's what it is.
Sharp, it appears that the assault was not a deferral. It was a stipulated order of continuance.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. So we'll note the city's motion to revoke the continuance on the assault charge based on the allegation of a new law violation. Ms. Langley was counsel of record on that case. Well, I will. And Mr. Milton is asking not to be represented by counsel. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
I'm shocked.
Okay, so let's have a little chat about that. If you choose to represent yourself, which is your right, you can make that choice, but I want to make
I'm
sure
skipping the
that we make a
colloquy.
To deal with that warrant.
Okay, all right.
Your Honor, I was not read my Miranda rights this most recent time. I believe I'm supposed to request a voyeur of the body cams.
Like I said, I can't.
Did they question you after that? Because that would mean that any answers given during questioning after that would be void. But that doesn't mean the whole arrest is void. That's actually something that TV tropes or like movie tropes have kind of gotten into people's head, that if you're not read your Miranda rights, you just get off scot-free. No, it means that if you were questioned after that, it means that the answers you gave are not admissible as evidence. At least that's how it was. I think it got weakened slightly from a Supreme Court ruling a while back. That's the basic idea.
Represent you, you're going to have to figure all that out yourself for purposes of today.
And like, it was drunk loitering. I don't think your prosecution is like dependent upon your, you know, confession or anything. It's based on the witness and video, probably from the store.
Require 4 to 6 hours of unhindered internet access so that I can properly represent myself. If you would write that into a court order.
Read your form on your constitutional rights.
Did I read my form? I don't believe I was provided anything.
Okay, is there a corrections officer there?
Mr. Upton?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's present Mr. Milton a copy of the rights form and have him read it, and then he and I can talk about it.
Yes, Your Honor. There's one taped to the desk right in front of me.
Okay.
I wasn't given anything. Right there, sir. Oh, okay, sorry.
Why don't you take a minute and read it? Let me know when you're done reading it, Mr. Milton.
Appreciate you.
So we can research how to lawyer. Yeah, I imagine he wants to look up like the like criminal procedure and stuff.
I haven't been Mirandized, so it's hard for me to even start since I can't technically be charged with anything.
Again, no, you can't be questioned. You can be charged. You just can't be questioned. Ray from the A, thanks for 15 months.
And
Got
there's
tired of the ads. Understandable. Thank you. It helps support the stream, too. Thank you very much.
no victim in this alleged crime.
Okay, I know.
Alleged crime.
Alleged crime.
Okay, I know.
Who's he mugging for here?
All I'm asking right now is for you to read the rights and tell me that you have done so.
All right. Would you please silence yourself? Forgive me. Have completed the reading, sir.
All right, thank you. I'll talk about that with you in just a moment as soon as I finish this document I'm working on.
Thank you.
Any question about those rights or on that form?
Not particularly.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what the question before the court now is whether I'm going to hold you on bail. The city has asked for $500 cash or bond on each case. Just address that issue. Don't address the underlying facts, because to the extent that you do so, any statement you say regarding that can be used against you on these cases. So
well, that's one of your Miranda rights. We got one of them in there.
Right now, just address the issue of whether you should be released or not.
Appreciate you. Yes, I would like to request being released on personal recognizance. And the reason being is because there were several things articulated in the statement that were absolutely not true. For one,
He literally just said, don't talk about the facts of the case. Whatever.
I was
Okay, yeah, hold
not in
on.
possession of a no worries. I was not in possession of a cell phone, as I had my vehicle, my phone, my computer,
All of this is going to be used against you.
my passport, and every physical possession stolen from me last time I was under arrest for defending a senior citizen in this community. The same day that Officer Tittle refused to search the man who stole my key.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for now.
Okay.
Unless you would allow me to fill in some details that they failed to read me my Miranda rights.
said
And I
that.
wasn't taking a statement from in both questioned cases in question.
Okay, so then they didn't need you to read the Miranda rights. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that's helpful, but, like, if they're not taking a statement from you, if they're not questioning you, then then there's nothing that you can benefit from them not having read your Miranda rights. This case is not based on any admissions necessarily that you have made thus far. Ugh. A B, I am not. Thank you so much for becoming a member on YouTube. Much appreciated. And welcome Ford the Perfect once again.
All right. So what the case of Miranda tells us is that if you make any statements while under arrest prior to being read your Miranda rights, the prosecutor is limited in its ability to present those statements to the court. It doesn't have any other purpose other than whether something you say can be used against you. That's the whole purpose of Miranda. Doesn't mean they can't go forward with a criminal charge.
Oh, I was never aware of that.
Right. Which is one of the reasons don't want to represent yourself, but I've explained that to you now. But I just want to make sure. So you still wish to represent yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Seem like a sharp guy, so
Appreciate you,
Is that how you describe him?
Your Honor.
seem dedicated to it. Okay. Based on the outstanding warrant out of Skagit County, I will hold in $500 cash or bond bail on each case, total $1,000 cash or bond. And
Ash, thanks for becoming a member on YouTube. Much appreciated. New members, remember this Sunday we're going to be doing another patron and YouTube member only stream. I think we're going to be watching Project Metal Beast. I think it's like a cyborg werewolf movie. So that should be fun.
I'll remind you, you're to have no contact with the 7-Eleven store. No criminal law violations, not consume any alcohol and marijuana, not enter any bar or tavern. And give me some realistic expectation. Are you going to be able to post bail or likely not?
Understandable, Ash. Thank you for the continued support still. I understand, though, Twitch's price increases have been a lot.
If the minimum that I'm allowed to throw on a bail is 300 and I have to bail out for 2 things, then I'm certain I would need to acquire a phone number that I don't have in order to make that happen. And so I would have to say that it may be closer to impossible this time around.
Okay. Well, you may know from your history that the bail here is usually 10% of what's ordered. So $50 on each case is what a bonding company would want from you. So just, I don't know
Cool.
whether that
Well, I have
changes anything.
$100. Isn't that
Okay. All right.
Oh my god! He did like a Jim Carrey face.
cool?
know whether that
Well, I have
changes anything.
$100. Isn't that
Okay. All right.
Like, who's he mugging at again? Is he in improv class? What is he doing? This is fascinating.
I will set this for 3 weeks from today.
Like, imagine if I was in court and I was doing my streamer shtick. You know? Imagine if I was in court and I was like, this is awkward, chat. Like, what the fuck?
For what we call a pretrial, Mr. Milton. And at the pretrial hearing, you will have received information from the city prior to that as to any offer to settle the case. Just so you know, you don't have to accept it. But they will be contacting you to give you whatever offer they have.
Courtroom, improv, same thing. I think in a courtroom, if you just do a yes and, you might lose the case. So, maybe not the same rules.
And you'll tell the court at that time whether you wish to accept the offer and
Dillis Filler had the same idea.
enter whatever arrangement is made, or whether you wish to go to trial.
awesome?
And if
In the meantime, will I be allowed 4 to 6 hours of unhindered internet access so that I can represent myself?
Yeah, I do not regulate the jail, so you're gonna have to talk to the folks at the jail.
If you write it as a court order, I'm certain that they will be more likely to comply than if you don't.
All right, I'm not gonna write it as a court order. Like I say, I don't mess with how the jails run their jail, but
Speaking
they've
of,
heard
by
you,
the
and
way,
Mr. Sharp has heard you, and we'll go
on
forward that
a
way.
side note, if I may, Your Honor, during intake, and I might preface this with, I have gone to anti-kidnapping training.
What do you mean you've been to anti-kidnapping training? Now, to be clear, that is a thing, but it's normally a thing for, like, rich people. You know how in the movie Inception, no, that's too, that metaphor makes it too more complicated than it needs to be. Just because movies make sense to me doesn't make that make more sense. If you're very wealthy, you can hire a security consultant, basically, to come in and teach you what to do if you're being kidnapped, like in a hostage situation. So that is a thing. You could theoretically get a class on what to do if you're being kidnapped. Why would this gentleman ever have done that? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I was inhumanely subject to what I would define as torturous actions. It was by C.O. Patero.
You too, Sheriff him.
I have nothing against the man, but he only sought to escalate a situation physically that could have been de-escalated with a verbal warning, a verbal, hey, knock your stuff off, a verbal, and I was completely compliant physically.
This has been very polite for a Sovsit case. Yeah, sometimes they're wrong, but not yelly. Sometimes they're just kind of strange like this.
As you can see on camera, if you look in holding C on the night that I was in Taken. When
He
I
wasn't
was
in
asked to be
Taken.
picked up
I've seen that
and
movie 6
seated,
times.
they had refused and told me on their paper that they checked on me every 15 minutes when I was checked on about 3 times the first 2 hours and about twice in the last half an hour.
Gillis
So-
Filler, I promise you can't fix him. Marcel with a 3-stream streak says, okay, I think I'm done for tonight. Let's raid someone. The judge. That's not how that works. What case should we raid?
We got that.
Yep, appreciate you.
Thank you.
M. Scheffler says the movie Taken was his training. That's Liam Neeson without his movie makeup and accent. All right, here's a quick update on the, Okay, maybe I need to preface this a little bit for people who haven't seen. So this is a gentleman who's a sovereign citizen type. He does not register his vehicle. He has a Mercedes, a quite expensive Mercedes by the looks of it. And his car ended up being impounded briefly. He had this traffic interaction with the police. His car was impounded. He ended up getting it back somehow. I'm not sure exactly how. Because I don't think he got it registered, even though he was supposed to. Or at least he claimed he didn't. And he is attempting to file a $1 trillion lawsuit against the police department and officer that arrested him, or impounded his vehicle, rather. No problem, Trey. Sorry works a lot today. I know you told me that some stuff was going on. No. So anyway, he's trying to file this $1 trillion lawsuit, which obviously isn't going to go anywhere, because I don't know if you know this, no one has ever won $1 trillion in any lawsuit ever. I believe the largest settlement or the largest penalty in any lawsuit was the tobacco lawsuits back in the 90s, and even that didn't reach $1 trillion. So this is just nonsense. Anyway, he's in this parking lot, and one of the cop that happened to pull him over before sees him and just checks on him. Hey, you still don't have the right license plate, basically, as you'll see. Oh, he hashtags gang stalking for this? They're not gang stalking you, sir. Get your car registered. You literally have a fake license plate on your car that signals you don't have your car registered. Didn't McDonald's pay $1 trillion for spilled coffee? No. No, they did not pay $1 trillion. They paid a lot, and it was worth it because that lady's labia got fused. That's how hot the coffee was. It fused her labia. That fucking coffee was too hot. It gave her 3rd-degree burns. If you haven't seen the pictures of it, I don't recommend it. Sorry, the McDonald's case just annoys me because it was used to try and push a bunch of bullshit tort reform. That's stupid.
these guys?
Hey, Mr. Duck Sauce.
These guys are just sitting here stalking me?
And they're not stalking you.
How you doing, sir? Like to take it private. Hey.
Nemesaur says, I won $1 trillion lawsuit, but it happened in Canada, so you wouldn't have heard about it. That explains how you buy so many gift subs. That's realistic. Mr. Duck Sauce, thanks for a 20 stream streak.
Grew well.
How's it going? What's going on with the plate? I thought we had to get that fixed.
No, there's actually a federal lawsuit that's already been filed against you guys.
Okay.
You guys.
So there's something that sovereign citizens will do often, is they will get into trouble for the license plate thing, or the lack of registration, or the lack of insurance, or the lack of driver's license, and they'll be in the middle of some sort of court matter, or some lawsuit that they file, and meanwhile, they'll just continue to go out in the same vehicle, unregistered, with no license, and when the cops pull them over again, they're like, well, I'm already dealing with this. Okay, but you're not. Just because you think you're gonna win a hypothetical court case or a lawsuit doesn't mean that in the meantime you get to keep doing the thing that was illegal in the first place that those things are about. They seem to think that, though, because the rules don't apply to them, and they think they get to do whatever they want, because anything that inconveniences them is not just an inconvenience, it's illegal and against natural rights.
Are served on that, right?
I'm not served, no. Did you, was it the department?
Yeah, I filed it straight with the department. It's active.
Okay, yeah.
Federal violations under the color of law because it's a private vehicle.
I'm bottom of the totem pole, man. They're not going to give me all that info.
Is that real information? Like, you really don't understand? You really don't get none of that? Like, truly.
He's surprised that his nonsense lawsuit hasn't made it down the chain, because of course it hasn't, because it's of no force.
I'm really trying to have a real conversation with you.
So what, you filed a lawsuit against the department? Yeah, they're not going to let me know about that.
Why
Filed
would
it
they
against you as well.
not give you a copy of a lawsuit that you're named in?
I haven't been named in anything.
I'm positive that you have.
Okay, yeah, I haven't received anything yet.
Okay.
Hey, so I know last time you were supposed to get the registration all taken care of. Did we do that? How come?
There was no need to get registration taken
Okay,
care of.
so-
You're aware of that, right?
So
Okay, except you're wrong. That's why, you know, your car got impounded.
you didn't pay the registration. What are you telling me?
You're aware of how this works, right?
No, I'm asking you a question.
You're aware this is a conversation that I'm trying to have, but you're now steering this in a direction.
Well, the whole
Wait.
conversation is about your registration.
The conversation at this point is about harassment and deprivation of rights under the color of law. You guys are just stalking me at this point.
How are you being
You're being,
harassed?
because I have an active lawsuit, an injunction filed against you. You're not even supposed to be near me right now.
Was an
I already-
injunction granted, or did you just file some paperwork claiming you want an injunction? Those are two very different things that you're not making any sort of differentiation between.
Training order?
I'm telling you, you should really talk to Steve Sherman, who I believe is representing you and your entire department in this matter. If I had a copy, I'd give you a copy of the lawsuit here. I wish I did, but
Yeah, no, I'm unaware of a lawsuit that I'm in.
okay. Well, yeah, Gruel, Chad Bianco, Eastwood, Bowman, Gell. You guys literally have all been named on the lawsuit.
Shut the fuck,
But
sorry.
nonetheless, I'm going to the gym. If you gentlemen want to call your sergeant and figure out what's really going on, that's perfectly fine. But I have no obligation to speak to you or
Okay,
engage
well,
with
sure,
you.
Because I want to verify this car is registered, because I know you got it out of the pound.
I'm not here to
The tow
assist.
yard.
I'm not here to assist you in your coercion and your harassment and everything you guys got going on, where you're stalking me through the parking lot. I'm not.
Can I just also point out, this isn't a sovereign citizen thing. This is a me finding cops kind of funny thing. The amount of tactical bullshit that cops are putting on themselves is genuinely comical. Like, they're in like a mini mall next to a Planet Fitness, and they look like they're about to invade Fallujah. Like, what the fuck is this? I just want to put that out. Like, this is comical, right? Like, what are they doing? Ooh.
Correct. Because this is, I've already told you on camera everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I've already told you what I've served your department with.
Okay.
I've already told you that this is a non-cordial conversation, that you're simply harassing me, as I recorded you guys circling through the parking lot. And that's it.
Why is me circling through the parking lot harassing you? I'm just.
Why are you pulling me over
trying to
again?
understand.
Why are you pulling me over again for the second time, or attempting
Because
to?
you're continuing to break the law. What are you talking about? That'd be like speeding and getting pulled over, and then speeding again and getting pulled over, and speeding again and getting pulled over. And you wonder why you keep getting pulled over. You keep breaking the law, asshole. As Jim Carrey famously said, stop breaking the law, asshole. We'll pull it up for effect. Jamie, pull up that clip.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
I used to have that queued up for Sobsit streams. I just need to keep that queued.
Pull me over in a parking spot when I'm out of the vehicle? Why are you harassing me for the second time within 6 months? And why are you in an active lawsuit where I've now filed a lawsuit against you for these very same things?
Well, the first time. I
And
pulled you
sir,
over being on
what's your
cell
name?
phone.
Deputy Lopez. Do you have a badge number, sir?
Yes, I do.
Can you please
ID number 4165.
and Gruwell, can you just
Sir.
provide your badge number again for me?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Can you vocalize your
I
badge
need a soundboard. Here's the thing. I can't be trusted with a soundboard. That would be bad. Have you seen me when I had my squeeze box? Or when I had my fucking kazoo? You can't give me things that make noise. I'm like a toddler. It's a bad idea. I'm just gonna make it make as much noise as possible for 3 days straight until I burn myself out on it, and then I'm gonna put it in a box and never touch it again.
number again for
It's
me?
3720. It should be on the ticket that I gave you for being on the cell phone last time.
So you do remember
I
me.
do remember you.
So this is
I
harassment.
don't forget someone
So-
who calls me a racist. That kind of
I
stays
didn't-
with you.
I asked you if you were, and it seems like
Again, I know this is about the sovereign citizen, but it is a little funny. Like this white cop is acting like getting called racist is like his version of the N-word. Oh my god, someone accused me of being racist. To be clear, I don't know anything about this fucking cop. I'm not saying he is racist. I think the, sovereign citizen dude is just a douchebag. But like, that big of a deal that a random asshole accused you of being racist. I don't think it's that fucking big of a deal, man.
you're just reiterating the same actions again.
I know you're trying to get, steer the conversation off what we're talking about.
No,
I'm just
you-
here to see if you got
you-
it registered because you're driving it again.
You've just now confirmed that you're harassing me, and you know exactly who I am because you just confirmed that you knew exactly who I was.
I don't forget a face of the person calling me a racist. Yeah, I remember.
Can you please call your sergeant on duty or somebody that's going to have a better conversation?
Okay.
Otherwise, this conversation is over. Because I'm
I
going.
refuse to talk to people until they agree with me. Could we maybe let's get the most agreeable members of chat up front? Who agrees with me? Let's go.
to the gym, as
I'll
I
still
said.
continue my investigation with your vehicle. I want to make sure it's registered.
Don't trespass on private property.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, do you have the registration over your license?
You have a good day.
All right. We'll verify the registration.
Yes, more of that energy, like overthoughts. Yes.
This guy's tripping.
Just lay on undue adulation. I really don't deserve it, but it'll feel good. Give you a meatball sub, I'll agree with whatever you want. Now I want a meatball sub. Anyway, so he goes into the gym. He films them for a while, but he does end up going to the gym. And then
Loans?
recently, this was, I think, today, 21 hours ago, they sent him... Where was the video for this? I apologize. I had it pulled up earlier. He was sent a notice that he has a criminal charge.
Breaking real.
They have criminally charged him. I assume that when he left and the cop was still there, the cop probably checked, saw he still wasn't registered, and they probably are charging him with driving without registration, if I had to guess. So here's his little, AI summary thing. He's one of these douchebags that really likes to use AI instead of just talking like a normal person. So he made a little fake podcast talking about his scenario. So that'll be fun. Let's listen to this real quick.
World Fair News. Riverside County retaliation, RICO and fraud. Verified affidavits confirm fraud, RICO.
Verified affidavits. They're verified because he said it.
Constitutional violations by
Oh, also he's trying to charge the police with RICO. Never RICO.
Riverside County's Michael Hestron and Miranda Thompson and Riverside County Sheriff. In a devastating turn of events for state actors in Riverside County, California, a series of unrebutted affidavits and federally recognized legal filings have revealed a coordinated, unlawful, and criminal conspiracy to violate the constitutional rights of Kevin Lewis Walker, a private American national and non-citizen state citizen.
Non-citizen state citizen. Sir, just get your car registered. You are a citizen of the United States. You were born here. You have birthright citizenship. And you haven't spent the money to actually go and renounce your citizenship. What's RICO? The Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organizations Act. It was created for organized crime. Basically, the idea is if you're a mob boss and you tell, your lieutenant to tell your foot soldiers to go and kill a guy, it's so you can charge the head guy with the murders, even though, he's some level of chain of command away from it. It basically allows you to charge lots of members of a criminal organization collectively for the crimes that they commit. Even if they didn't do it as an individual, they participated as the group. Basically, it was created for charging the mob bosses.
Facts. Now,
famously, it was depicted in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. You're familiar with The Dark Knight? That's probably the most famous movie that includes a RICO thing.
Now entered into the record, verified, unrebutted, and legally binding, expose a scheme so corrupt and retaliatory that it qualifies as organized racketeering, judicial fraud, and attempted extortion under color of law. Federal lawsuit already filed state charges are retaliatory and criminal. On March 11th, 2025,
Walker... Are you thinking of civil asset forfeiture, Redmond?
Filed federal lawsuit case number 5:25-CV-006-46-WLH-MA, asserting claims under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983, deprivation of rights, 18 U.S.C. Section 241, conspiracy against rights, 18 U.S.C. Section 2...
What is the color of law? The color of law is something that makes it appear as though it has legal force, but does not. So if, like, a cop, for instance, if a cop said to you, even though they had no reason to, if they had no reasonable articulable suspicion, but they said, get out of the car, and, you got to do what I say, and they were just doing it for fun, to fuck with you, they are using the aesthetic, the fact that they are a cop, they are using the view of themselves and their legal authority to commit illegal acts. So they are doing something under the color of law. Now, in this case, they're not actually doing something under the color of law. It's just the law. But he's trying to claim it as color of law so that he can try and say they're abusing power. Mr. Duck Sauce, what do you want me to look up for your Black's Law? Oh, color of law. Duh. Easy enough. Will do.
242, deprivation of rights under color of law. 18 U.S.C. Sections 1961 through 1968, racketeering, RICO. Just 3 days later, in what can only be described as an act of prosecutorial revenge, the state filed a fraudulent charge against Walker.
It's not revenge. They literally just checked to see if you registered your car and you didn't. That's it. Register your car next time. If you even get an opportunity, they might just take it.
Using a fake and signed and unverified instrument, devoid of lawful jurisdiction, lawful authority, or any admissible evidence of wrongdoing. This alone proves malicious prosecution.
There is no color of law, but there is just color. An appearance, semblance, or simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real, a prima facie or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible, assumed exterior concealing a lack of reality, a disguised pretext, see also colorable. There you go.
Obstruction of justice, and an attempt to interfere with a pending federal civil rights action. A federal felon.
It's not interfering with it in any way. You continued to do what they believe to be illegal action, so they cited you for it or are calling you into court for it. That'll be interesting. I really hope that court video shows up somewhere, though I don't think it will. What state is he in? I don't think they do Zoom court necessarily where he is. Is he in California? Yeah, he's near Riverside.
In and of itself. Fraudulent charges are mail fraud, securities fraud, and extortion.
Yeah, we probably
The
won't see
fraudulent
that
citation,
one, unfortunately.
Trust action / agency number T243366039. Sent to Walker constitutes a criminal offer to contract under duress, with no signature.
If Trump deported Sovsits, would it be for or against it? Against it. Is that a real question? You're asking me if I would ever find it satisfying for people to be deported for no good reason? No. I don't even like people who are undocumented being deported. What? Do you know me? Have I not made it quite apparent? My position on human rights. Or my view on human rights, at least.
Probable cause, no verified complaint, and no corpus delicti. It is not signed by any officer or magistrate, not supported by an injured party or evidence of a crime, not accompanied by an affidavit of truth or lawful jurisdiction. Worse, the false document was sent via U.S. mail, meeting all elements of mail fraud under 18 U.S.C. Section 1341 and qualifies as extortion under 18 U.S.C. Section 1951.
What if we just deport Chile? Again, I don't find the deport... Like, I know people are trying to make light out of a situation. I don't really find the deportation jokes very funny, given the current political climate. Like, people are really having their lives ruined. I don't want to make a joke about it. About, like, oh, what if the people we disliked had the bad thing happen to them? I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's a healthy thing to joke about. I really don't want to make light of it.
Act. Wire and securities fraud under 18 U.S.C. Section 1343 and 15 U.S.C. Sections 77Q, 78J, B. Forgery and impersonation under 18 U.S.C. Section 1028. Criminal obstruction of justice and retaliation against a federal plaintiff. These are not procedural errors. They are criminal acts under the United States Code. Verified affidavits serve as judicial estoppel and prima facie evidence. Walker's verified notice of conditional acceptance is backed by 4 notarized affidavit contracts and
they're notarized!
Security agreements.
Again, having something notarized just means they saw you sign it. That's it.
None of which have been rebutted. Under UCC Section 3 to 505, Wong Sun versus United States, 371 U.S. 471, 1963, and commercial law, the silence of the plaintiff constitutes tacit acquiescence, dishonor, estoppel by silence, absolute legal admission of guilt and wrongdoing. Moreover, Walker's instrument has been notarized, registered, and endorsed, qualifying it as a special deposit, monetary instrument.
Oh, he thinks it's a monetary instrument. I'm very interested in this guy's story. What's his deal? Why is he like this? I wish I knew, truly. Affidavit and plain statement of facts, notice of default and opportunity to cure, and notice of fraud. I don't know why he did all the different colors, too. We have black, we have blue, we have purple, we have red. All in the same sentence. How strange. Anyway, we can get off of his stuff for now, but, yeah. Weird guy. That lawsuit's not going anywhere, Kevin. Maybe rethink your life. Okay, what else we got?
In early June.
Nah, let's do Chief Mahto. This is gonna be bad. So it's been a little bit since we've seen Chief Mahto. Chief Mahto, if you're not familiar, is a gentleman who fancies himself to be an indigenous chief of his own tribe that he has formed. He calls it the Mahto tribe. This is because he couldn't get into any actual tribe. I believe he does actually have some indigenous heritage, but his blood quantum level, like how much indigenous heritage he actually has, proportional to his overall genetic whatever, he doesn't count, basically. He can't get into an actual tribe. So he started his own. He's also incredibly anti-Semitic, calls himself black, even though he is not black. Fucked up. He's a really messed up guy. So, we're gonna watch some of this. He sent another email to Donald Trump asking for power, so that's good. Oh, and he calls himself a Messianic Jew. He's not. This is the same scam as that, like, Jews for Jesus thing back in the day. It's basically a bunch of evangelical Christians trying to steal the identity of Judaism from actual Jewish people. It's really anti-Semitic and fucked up. So, isn't he Canadian? No, he's from Washington State. He's from Washington State, from the States. All right, so let's get into it. He will have a mention of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion early on here. As I've said before, that is an anti-Semitic hoax from a long time ago. Basically, only anti-Semitic fools who fall for obvious tricks fall for this. It's fake. Anyway, get into it.
Shalom, friends. Let's open up this meeting in a word of prayer. Baruch atah Adonai, they already know the truth. Please allow us to always be and to being our president over. So for people who follow guys like Derek Johnson, other ones who have followed Trump's rise and ascension into being our president, understand that he has been president for the last 2 terms.
Oh, he's into QAnon stuff too. So he thinks he thinks Joe Biden wasn't really the president. He thinks Trump was secretly the president the whole time. So this would be Trump's 3rd term, which would be unconstitutional. Not that it's stopped him so far.
Joey Biden was never actually a legitimate president. What are you talking about? He wasn't a legitimate president. No, he wasn't. And that's why his inauguration was held in a cemetery. That's why Trump's wife, Miss Melania, was wearing all black. Again, these optics, if you've been listening to Jan Halper Hayes videos like that, these optics tell you that, you know, this entire operation had to be done ethically, legally, morally. And it wasn't going to be done without using the provisions that were enshrined within the preamble to the Declaration, as well as the provisions within the military code, Title 50.
There are no provisions with it. Like, the Declaration of Independence is, once again, not a legally binding document like the Constitution. It was a declaration that they sent to England to say, hey, we are officially saying that we are seceding. What are you going to do about it, basically? It's not a legal document. He's basically saying with that preamble, you know, when in the course of whatever, he's basically saying that they have the right to overthrow the government. What he's saying. He's saying legally they have the right to overthrow the government because the Declaration of Independence exists.
50, Title 10, all those things that military veterans have to learn, or should probably learn if you're going to join the military. So that being said, I wanted to go back here a minute and basically outline something that, again, is incredibly important if you want to see how this all shook out. You go to the FBI vault and then you search for, I'm going to share the screen with you right now so we're on the same page. Okay, so you get in here. And what you find is the FBI posted something here not too long ago.
It's been there for a while, what he's about to talk about.
Protocols of the learned elders.
Surprised he hasn't mentioned his ex-wife yet. I'm sure he'll get around to it. He does. So he looks up on the FBI website the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which do pop up as a part of a larger document that's basically a bunch of files that the FBI put together some decades ago about certain neo-Nazi organizations and their beliefs. Now, because of that, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is on the FBI website. It is there along with, basically, stuff from the agents being like, this is bullshit. But he only looks at the protocols part. So he goes, look, this is on the FBI website. It has to be real, even though, even in the context that it is, that he is reading it out of, it is from a file that the FBI had when they were investigating extremist anti-Semite groups. Like neo-Nazis. So it is on the FBI website, but not in a, this is real way. It's there in a file that's about, here's a bunch of their propaganda way. Now, I don't know if he's being obtuse or if he just is being deceptive, but either way, that's the context if you're curious.
All right, let's just do a Google search. Pop back over here. Okay, so Czar. They that these guys control. A infallible, I would say, set of scriptures in.
Okay, I'm going to skip the protocols part of this video. I've already watched this video just because he doesn't say anything interesting. It's just all anti-Semitic slop. You're familiar. You don't need to fucking hear it again. Just know he's a neo-Nazi type.
Out as well, but let me just ask you a common sense question. Of course, it's circular if you're looking at it from the 3D, but it's a linear path for most men. There's some men who are far ahead of others on that path. There's some of us who are far behind others on that path. The key to being sure that you progress along the path is not being too prideful to change. There are barriers on that path, men. Until you accept certain facts, guess what? You will not progress. Until you learn the art of the velvet backhand. In other words, you are not ruled by your emotions. Can you get fired up? Can you be passionate? Yes, but it is a restrained passion. Especially if you're over common size, people get scared.
What's the part about Kenneth Copeland? Looks like a meme on a Facebook page he follows about Kenneth Copeland being possessed by a demon. I can only see as much as you can. It cuts off on the video at the same place you guys can see it.
Why? Because they're raising pussies nowadays. That's why. No, I'm not that
angry divorced man thinks kids are pussies. More at 11.
kind of pastor. If you're looking for a pastor that never actually tongue lashes somebody, that's just nothing but a nice, cuddly little teddy bear, that's not me. I'm not a perfect man, but I'm a good man. I don't commit crimes. I don't hurt people, never have.
I mean, you're refusing to pay child support, I think, which got you in trouble, so that's not great.
That's why I take
You also don't think taxes are real, so I imagine you've broken some laws on that.
issue with cartel members out there defaming my good name, pretending as though some grantor out there who wasn't me created this entity and magically it now applies to me when it's clearly not the same. You look in the original divorce filing, Pierce County.
There it is! There it is! There's the divorce! We did it!
Find that there is a first and last name entity. I didn't grant that. Yet that was the entity I was called into court and pretended like it was a valid, lawful proceeding, when in fact it was nothing more than human trafficking disguised within admiralty law.
Your divorce hearing was human trafficking? I'd love to hear his justification for how a divorce hearing is human trafficking. Also the name thing. They think that your legal name in all caps is a separate entity than you, the human being, and that courts use it in order to gain secret magic authority over you. Nope, it's in all caps because it's the most legible. They have authority over you because they're the government, and the government has power, kind of by definition.
4D, section 666. This is how these guys have been trafficking Native American offspring for the last 100+ years.
So fucking offensive for him to compare actual, like, genocidal behavior of taking indigenous children from their parents in order to stuff them in, like, boarding schools and, like, take them away from, like, learning their own culture Comparing his fucking divorce to that is gross. Genuinely disgusting.
So what happened is that the people at the top within that organization, within the platform I was telling you about, I'll stop the share on that. But within that platform, these guys created an entity. So when
You mean law isn't case sensitive? No, though cases are usually law sensitive.
they create this entity, they want to be able to go ahead and use that to create revenue. So they take the case, they sell it on the open market, they create a bond, they put a lien on that. Now it's being traded on the stock market.
I'm sorry, you think that your divorce is being traded on the stock market? Can I short this man's divorce?
This is where tax-free municipal bond funds come from, people. How do you think they're funded? Go look in your investment portfolio. If you have anything in there that's considered to be, basically conservative, it's going to be in probably T-bills, it's going to be in some bond fund in that regard, or it's going to probably be in tax-free municipal bond funds. You're not going to get a huge return. Why? Because most of it is siphoned off by these cities, by these municipalities, by the counties. This is how they fund their operations. This is how they steal literally $60 billion worth of arms from people every year. Does that bother anybody other than me?
I don't think he knows how T-bills work.
Is that a problem for you? If you're a U.S. military veteran, a man who will not hurt a low IQ servant, so you comply, you allow them to take your arms, never believing they would honestly steal them from you, which is a clear violation of the Second Amendment.
Oh, he's very mad about his guns. Yeah, he had his guns taken away. What was that for? Was it alleged domestic abuse, and that's the thing in Washington? Or was it because he didn't pay his child support and it became felonious?
And they pretend like we're the ones that have to go in there and do this and that and the other thing, jump through 50 hoops to be able to get them back. Here's an idea. If you don't want to follow the laws, pack your shit and go back to DC. That's
You're the one not following laws.
Better plan. If we don't get redress for our grievances, if our arms and other assets are not going to be returned to us, what good are you? What do you think, Trump's people have been talking about? All these representatives now in this, story that's being played out in front of us, because that's what it is. It's a scripted narrative story. You're watching a soap opera. But what happens when, those things consistently don't come to pass? They're operating under the same premise that I was operating under when I first created the Mahto village concept. And that is that according to the preamble to the Declaration, we have a right and a duty to create new safeguards for our future freedoms. That's what the Mahto village is about. That's why the only voting members are American Indians. We the people, Washingtonians, Idahoans, Montanans, not U.S. citizens. We serve them in our villages. We give them 50% discounts on all of our locally grown fresh fruits and vegetables.
That, I think, is the funniest part of his whole plan, is that he wants to create his own separate, country within the country. And, it's pretty clear that if you wanted to do that, in theory, you would need to make nice with your neighbors, right? Obviously, it's not going to happen. But if it did, you would have to get some sort of, support from people around you, even those who aren't within your group. And the best he can do is to give other people a discount on their fucking produce. You can come to our farmer's market and get half price. Please don't arrest us.
The email that I recently sent to Trump's people, I'll walk you through it. Again, this is what I'm considering to be evidence.
It's because he wants a cult. Yeah. What he describes is very cult. He does his streams where he basically lays out how he wants his cult to function, and I don't think he knows that's what he's doing.
Because at some point, like I said, whenever they want to silence people, this is what they do. They come in, they try to turn you into a criminal, they try to...
Are these fresh fruits and vegetables real, or are they imaginary like his villages? They're imaginary. This is all in the pre-viz stage. This is in the pre-production stage.
Pretend like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. He's one of these sovereign anti-American nut job. I'm not. And here's the evidence of it right here.
We're the nut jobs.
Okay. Remember,
That's relieving. I was starting to think I was the sane one and everything else was fucked up. It's actually pretty relieving to know I'm the crazy one. Woo! That was close.
men, don't listen to what losers, dirtbags, traitors, any of these people have to say about you. All you need to know is that you behave the way that you know you need to behave. And you'll also see that my cell number's in here. If you're a nut job, of course, I'm going to
Yeah, he did a whole thing where he adopted Trump as his uncle. Yes, he did.
block you. Okay. But hopefully you're not a nut job. And Mr. President, as a loyal American Indian chief,
Hopefully you're not a nut job. Anyway, here's the email I wrote to the president. What email address is he sending this to? I mean, there's probably like an official presidential email address, but like I'm sure like kids send shit to it. Like, does he think Trump is actually gonna fucking read this email?
chief of the only remaining band of American Indians. What do you mean by
He's literally saying he's not only trying to legitimize his fake tribe, he's delegitimizing every real tribe that still exists. He's saying his tribe is not only real, it's the only real tribe. Ugh.
remaining? Think. Did we have
He sent this email at 5:30 a.m. I just noticed. He was up at that's what he sent it to. He's been drafting this email since like 5:15 in the morning. What's he doing?
states when the Pilgrims arrived? Nope. So that means all we had were Indians. You didn't have states, you didn't have the 14th Amendment US citizens, all you had were Indians.
Okay, but they had their own, like, nations, right? Just because they weren't all... You should know this if you're pretending to be an indigenous person. They had political conclaves. Like, they had political entities and, like, area that was theirs versus another group's. It wasn't just people randomly wandering around.
Remember, Britain owned, or at least owns, DC used to own, whatever you want to call it, okay? So Britain basically created the US citizens. You stick your face on a driver's license, not even overstanding that you've created a contract with them, which means you agreed to abide by all their statutes.
I promise you have to abide by every law, even if you don't have a driver's license.
Indians don't have those things.
Supposed to be where an ad goes, but it's broken.
Not everybody's born in a hospital. So what do they use? They use identifications. I have one. It's for Chief Mahto, and there's no social security number tied to it. Why? Because Chief Mahto is not a US citizen.
To be clear, he does have a social security card. He just, I guess, is disowning it since he started calling himself Chief Mahto instead of his birth name.
And it's a felony to claim you're a US citizen when you're not one. Now, I do actually operate domestically in commerce for the all caps name I used to be known by. So when there's online stuff or anything like that, yes, I'll click the box that says US citizen because there isn't a clicker box there that says American.
Oh, so you're a liar.
They use identifications. I have one. It's for Chief Mahto, and there's no social security number tied to it. Why? Because Chief Mahto is not a US citizen. And it's a felony to claim you're a US citizen when you're...
It's a felony to claim you're a US citizen when you're not, he says.
You're not one. Now, I do actually operate domestically in commerce for the all caps name I used to be known by. So when there's online stuff or anything like that, yes, I'll click the box that says US citizen because...
Didn't you just say it's a felony to claim you're a US citizen when you're not, and that you're not a US citizen, but now you're saying you say you're a US citizen when you have to? Consistency.
there isn't a clicker box there that says American State Citizen National.
Because that's not a thing.
So since I still have a right to engage in commerce, because trying to infringe on that or my lawful migration is actually an international offense, then I continue to operate in good faith, believing I have the right to do that. Why? Because I have the necessary paperwork. I had the grantor of that entity handed off to me. That was my mother, as well as my father's estate. So you're looking at the actual executor and trustee of not only my father's, but my mother's, as well as my own estate, and those are my offspring. I know who I am. What I do notice is that I get all these banks and everybody else out here claiming that there's something wrong with, this account or the other account, and I tell them all the same thing. Why don't I hear anything? If I've
You do when the banks call you, I guess.
done something wrong, why don't I have one of these agencies calling me up and saying, hey, this is where we're at? All I get are threats and, being told that essentially not to engage in commerce anymore. And I will tell you, that's not a right that you have. And you're not going to keep me from doing it. If you don't want to work with me, that's fine. I can go dark. I can get a CPN. I can create all these different entities if I had to.
CPNs, as I've discussed before, are a scam. CPNs are other people's social security numbers that are stolen. So if you ever have a service being like, oh, we'll get you a CPN number, it's a scam. It's not a thing. This is not a thing. You are getting someone else's social security number that has been stolen. Sometimes a baby's, or someone who hasn't even been born yet. I don't know if you know this, but they have social security numbers already made up before people are born. Like, it's not, assigned to a specific person yet, but they're already there. And then they're just waiting for someone to get assigned to it. So CPNs are often those numbers that haven't been assigned yet. So if you're using them, committing identity fraud against a baby that hasn't even been born yet. And that kid, when they are born and get assigned that social security number, when they try to get a loan, when they're older, they're going to be like, what the fuck? Why is all this shit on my credit report? This isn't me. So don't do that.
But that's not how I want to operate. I want to clear everything up to make sure taxes are taken care of on the estate. Everything is shored up. Our government gets whatever they're rightly due. And I want credit for the instruments that I've autographed, endorsed, and sent back to them, per the Emergency Bankruptcy Act of 1933. You want me to honor your instruments, honor my instruments.
You have two social security numbers? That's interesting. Why? I have one, but I've had two different names on it.
I have the right to settle these debts utilizing paper, just like you.
You mean money? Because money, yes. Random paper? No. Terradona says, damn, he's into lots of adjacent scams. Oh yeah, he's into a ton of this stuff. That's why I find him interesting.
You're not going to force me to exchange my body for more fucking paper so that you can control my life.
Man.
I'm not your slave.
I'm not a part of your system. GamerG, thanks for 23 months, says CPNs sound highly illegal and will come with a long prison sentence, but Sobsits think it's one neat trick. And as we know, the one neat trick ads are always scams.
But instead, what do? You shut off people's bank accounts. You make sure they can't buy or sell. This is why the Mahto village is essential. It's because we use wampum. We do not use US dollars when we're settling our debts.
The currency he made up.
We have
and gave a racist name to.
Specific reason for converting all of it to something that is backed by silver, gold, or now, with everything I'm hearing out of the White House, it'll be our own digital currency that's tied to it, not currency.
I like that he says hearing out of the White House, like he knows someone from the White House, when he really just means he read a news, headline about Trump wanting to buy crypto.
See, but again, trading system. These are collector's coins at basic levels, unless you're in our casino.
I don't necessarily, Densatsu, I don't think the term itself is racist in isolation. I find it racist that he goes, I'm impersonating an indigenous person, and we need our own money system. What do we call it? Wampum! Like it's like it's the stereotypical nature of it and how he's applying this caricature to the identity of an indigenous person that's racist.
Casinos where we do, exchange everything at 0%. You're welcome to come in. And again, the rules on that have been changed. Whoever holds the wampum in our new issuance, which will be a private placement memorandum that'll be going out soon.
It's like someone, and it's weird too, because again, like I think on his dad's side, he does actually have indigenous like family. So I don't understand why it's like his entire knowledge of indigenous everything comes from like watching Bonanza. Like, you know what I mean? Weird. You try to get it fixed, but you need to prove that it's another person with your name and birth time and place. Oh. Huh.
In that, we're going to have 99% of the value is going to be given to the holders of the wampum. Again, I said the holders of the wampum. I did not say the village members. Every village has its own economy. And the members of that village in that county, as you know it, our villages adopt the borders of the county. Everyone in that county retains 90% of the value of that wampum that comes from the casinos, that comes from the businesses, that
Did
comes.
we finally find the person who was hired on Star Trek Voyager to be the consultant for Chakotay? Was it Chief Mahto?
From the cattle.
Ashley One Up says, any day now I expect Mahto to say something like, quote, wampum is our equivalent for dollars. Our equivalent for cents is blackface. It's 20 blackface to a wampum.
That comes from everything that's done.
I could see him doing that.
Within the village, on the commercial level, but in the private. 90%. And yes, it's silver and gold. So as it grows, guess what? If you want to trade that to one of your fellow Mahto members, you can do it. There is no taxable event. Why? Because it's private. That's what you're doing when you're dealing with US dollars. You're dealing with private money. It's a private bank. It's a private family that owns it. That means they set the rules for how you utilize their private currency. It's their monopoly board. It's the Vatican that owns them at the very top. And then at the very top,
they make it very clear that if you try to use it, the IRS will lose their shit. Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Them again is Satan and his minions. They're all out of this one area that's always, what do you know? Neutral, but it's where the world, whatever headquarters is, you name it, it's out of Switzerland. The Vatican. A lot of similarities between them. Why? Why does the Swiss guard the Pope? You really think he's guarding the Pope?
Yeah.
You remember what the Pope did back, in history? 70,000 dead in one day? Who was it? The Knights Templar. What's on the flag of Switzerland? Where does that come from? You starting to connect the dots?
Man, he talks like a Q drop.
When you read the protocols of the learned elders of Zion,
a hoax.
Take a minute to get on Rumble and listen to the Rabbi Finkelstein interview.
Oh, that shit's ridiculous. That's also a hoax. Like, I don't know how to express to you, if you're the kind of person who falls for that particular interview, there's no helping you. You're genuinely willing to fall for someone doing the most offensive cartoon stereotype voice ever and take their word that they're a legitimate person. It's like you fell for a Crank Yankers episode. What are you doing? Pathetic.
That literally is a legit, so-called mainstream Christian pastor, very well known, who literally did an interview with this guy, and he admitted everything that you're going to read in the protocols of the learned elders of Zion.
Hoax.
I kid you not.
Sorry, I feel the need every time he brings it up to say that, just because I don't think there's ever a time that should ever be mentioned without in the same breath it also being mentioned that it is a hoax and a bad one.
Those are the two critical dots that you need to connect. Two critical things that you should start with outside of the scriptures. Because again, all the stuff in the protocols, all the stuff in the Rabbi Finkelstein interview, it was in the scriptures first. It was predicted to be coming out today, in this time that we are living in now. Which a good saying, according to Missler, was, the scriptures talk more about now than when Yahusha himself walked the shores of Galilee. Obviously, I used the correct name Chuck didn't understand that either, and he was an incredibly educated man. Let's finish with the email. As a loyal American Indian chief of the only remaining band of American Indians, again, all other 574 federally recognized tribes are composed of U.S. citizens. They are slaves. They're duped into believing that, hey, we have sovereignty. No, you don't. You do not have sovereignty. Sovereign means that you are not subject to any government regulation, sans an injured party. That means unless you harm somebody.
That's not what that means. That's not the definition of sovereign by any measure, and I don't know why he made up that definition.
You can go about your business, do what you want.
I guess because it's convenient to him.
You're not required to have anything outside of what you wish to do as a contractor.
He just mad at other tribes because they won't recognize him. I think that's a part of it.
Let
me be clear. I think if he was accepted into a tribe like he wanted, I don't think he'd be doing this stuff. I think on some level, he has a bad identity crisis, and it has come out in really awful ways. He's got other problems too, obviously. He's got a lot, but like, identity is a big part of this.
The state or with the federal government, or at least that's what it was prior to Trump. Let's see what happens before July 4th, 2026, which is when the Doge committees end. You think that's a coincidence? Okay, so this Idahoan national, again, Idahoan, not U.S. citizen. I'm an Idahoan state citizen national, American national. Request an audience to discuss our Mahto headquarters project. Why? Because I've read the treaties. I know what every Sioux Indian is entitled to. I'm looking to claim my land around where I was born. And I wanted to butt it up to the national park. Why? Because part and parcel of our village project is to increase the buffalo herds.
He wants land, not any land, land adjacent to a national park. Good luck. H. Baird with 51 months says, who the hoe in this place? Idaho in this place.
We want to make sure that we help recover at least, I would love to see 50 million buffalo on the prairie with an entire swath 1,000 miles wide that vehicles cannot go through. They either have to go below or above. I'm sure we're close to that now. But let's put an 8-foot, 10-foot buffalo fence 1,000 miles apart and allow them to go ahead and walk that swath they used to walk all the way down to the bottom, down by Colorado. I believe some herds even got down that far. But going down to that area, coming all the way back up the prairie to the northern Canada areas. They got all...
You see what I mean in terms of, like, it feels like everything he learned about indigenous life comes from Bonanza. We have, like, the stuff like wampum being used. He's talking a lot about buffalo and, like, how important they are. Like, it's all very surface level, borderline pop cultural views of native people in the Americas. Like, it's... Like, am I crazy here? Am I wrong? Like, am I the crazy person? It just feels like, again, like, he has people on his dad's side that are indigenous. Shouldn't he know more than this?
All the way up there and still remain in Alaska. It's the largest buffalo in Alaska.
I would agree. Repopulating buffalo is based.
Is the timber buffalo. It's a once-in-a-lifetime hunt. It's one of those that every guy...
Ad break.
Salivates over. Why? Because the buffalo is the largest North American game animal. Yes, I said that. It's larger than the moose. They're incredible creatures. We need to return them. And I'll take another quick detour rabbit trail and then we'll get back to the email. But I'll just leave it here. You're welcome to read it. But
Jay's Proxy says he wants 50,000 buffalo. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, approximately 20,500 plains bison in conservation herds and an additional 420,000 in commercial herds. He wants an eighth of the U.S.'s population. Wow, that is a lot. Have you ever had buffalo? Have you ever eaten it? It's good. Good. Bison. I had it once. Gamey, but very good. I like gamey meat, though.
Again, when you look at the buffalo people, not only is the meat leaner naturally, okay, but the buffalo is the only animal on the prairie, to my knowledge, or at least this is something a cow can't do. Let's just say that, okay? But a buffalo can put off its gestation period until good weather.
I've had reindeer. I've had venison a lot because I live in Michigan, so hunting season, everyone, knows someone usually who has some extra venison.
Shows up.
Venison tacos, pretty good.
Literally. They don't have calves in the winter. That's why their calves always survive. Just like many buffalo or other types of animals like that, musk ox, everything else, they protect the babies by, putting them in the middle. That's how they kept them away. But again, you're talking about a grizzly. It can run faster than a quarter horse in a quarter mile. So it's not going to outrun, a little buffalo calf isn't going to outrun a grizzly. But if you get 15, 20 buffaloes standing tall with all of the babies inside, the grizzly's going to rethink it, I think. Buffalo is a huge animal, 2,000 pounds plus coming at you. That's a ton with horns and a head like a Mack truck. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to get hit with that either, but
Benikagami with 40 bits says, I bet that when he tries to join a tribe, he balked at the requirements. From my understanding, blood isn't the only requirement. You have to immerse yourself in the culture, and there are some rules, though living on reservation isn't one. There are even groups you can join to be considered indigenous even without knowing what tribe you descended from. However, take this with a grain of salt. I'm as white as mayo. Yeah, I really wish I knew more about his backstory. I find people... The thing I find interesting about people is trying to understand why they are the way they are. Maybe that's because I'm kind of obsessed with why I am the way I am, and it helps to gain information from other people. But I just want to know what, in the extremity, when you see people with these extreme beliefs, I think it can tell you a little bit about belief and identity formation in the first place. And maybe that's not one-to-one transferable to everyone, but it tells you something. I don't know. I just wish I knew how this guy ticked and why.
That's what.
Same with Marcel and Peter. It's like a puzzle. Like a puzzle you can't actually solve. It's frustrating.
We should have done is domesticated the, supposedly 80 million buffalo that were here. Now we can return it to at least 50 million. What an incredibly good food source. They also can put their heads down through the snow in the wintertime and get to the grass underneath. That's why they don't starve in the winter. So they're ideally suited. I would like to actually even maybe have a hybrid between the Kobe or Wagyu and buffalo.
Wagyu buffalo, Wagyu bison meat.
And create a really fatty version that, you just feed all types of stuff to make the meat incredible. There's a lot of cool things we could do. But again, staying within each species, not referring to try to, create a buffalo and turn it into a leopard. Keep them together. But we seek to assist with increasing the GDP and using Class 3 casinos to fund our orphanages and other tribal centers. Lastly, this servant has been victimized by bar cartel members since 2014.
AKA lawyers and judges.
Again, referring to the divorce filing, which was a first last name entity, not the first middle last name that's on the Social Security card. Yet there's a debt against the Social Security card.
Most farm buffalo are hybrids. Okay.
A case with the first and last.
That's legal. Japan is very, very, very strict on Wagyu exportation. I would imagine so. It's like a huge export for them.
Name that's clearly fraud on its face.
Like it would be like giving people seeds from the Champagne region of France. Even then, that's more about the soil and the weather more so than the themselves. I don't know.
Same thing when you're dealing with
giving away the seeds to your heirloom tomatoes.
These other court actions against the first, middle, last name. In court again, just the other day in the city of Gig Harbor, the judge refused to swear in, yet claimed she had a right to actually render a decision.
He thinks that the judge needs to do the thing. He's incorrect. Judges, give an oath when they're, sworn into office, but they don't have to do it every time they get on the bench.
This is why
I think they re-up their oaths every so many years too, as part of their like re-upping of their position.
got up and left. They want to arrest me, go ahead and arrest me. But if you're not going to produce a
Wine grapes aren't grown via seeds, they're cloned via cuttings. Oh, that makes sense.
contract, if you're not going to swear in, this is an illegal or lawful proceeding. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. Am I a man who actually will speak that way in public? Yeah. Why? Because they're criminals.
I'll say the fuck word. I'm a real grizzly man. I say the fuck word.
They're cartel
I demand to be taken seriously.
members. This is who the protocols of the learned elders of Zion have
The fraudulent protocols.
not told you about in every detail. They work in broad strokes. They leave the details down to the British accredited Regency. These are the
Not a real thing.
Bar Association traders to the Republic that raised their hand and taken an oath to a foreign state.
Nope. The bar does not stand for British accreditation registration. That's a thing sovereign citizens made up so they could try and claim that lawyers are secretly loyal to another country and therefore traitors. It's not true. Bar does not stand for anything. It's not an acronym. It refers to the bar, the literal like posts that you go past to be in the well of the court, as opposed to the area where people just watch.
Go read the law in this matter. They're not even Americans anymore. They lost.
You're incorrect. You go read the law on this instead of a bunch of random internet posts by grifters.
Their nationality. Yet they're running courts. They're taking arms from law-abiding American veterans who complied only because we're law-abiding and peaceful.
Apparently you're not. They took your guns.
That's what they're doing. And then they're painting us as the criminals, defaming us, taking our offspring away in these courts and creating bullshit parent-child agreements, taking arms away in those cases as well. All these warrants being issued without a judge's authorized signature and a bond and a seal on the document. Again, this is all fraud. This is all child trafficking.
Your children the mother of your children having custody of your children is not child trafficking. That's not what that word means.
Been forced to learn how their
Is he in Idaho now? Might be.
entire system works after being kidnapped 3 times, 2 of my .45 caliber arms being stolen without any due process, and having both foreign corporate entities refuse to return them. Since 2021, the servant has contacted the FBI, DOJ, Secretary of State, state and federal prosecutors, international courts to file a limited admiralty license to practice for our tribe, the military twice, resulting in a loyal American attempting to report criminal activity being treated since my last 2021 kidnapping by WA cartel members.
By cartel members, he means the police. M. Scheffler says, bitch, you got a mouse in your pocket? Who's us?
Obviously, at this point, the servant would be thrilled to help.
It's actually under his hat. He's got a little tiny rat that's a sovereign citizen, forcing him to make this video. Well, that joke is funnier if you could see he's wearing a hat, huh? You can't. What a shame.
But also know now your office has its military operation well in hand. Just looking to be able to get the right to engage in commerce with our Class 3 casinos planned for each village, using our wampum, teaching our offspring, growing the GDP, providing year-round fruits and veggies traded between villages at 50% discounts to our state and federal employees. It's an ambitious plan that could literally put millions to work, provide educational centers for skilled trades outside the union thuggery. Why union thuggery? Because I was a federal contractor. I'm going to stop.
Oh, he hates unions also. Surprise.
Right here and address this. If you're in a union, it's only good for the union members and mostly good for the.
Maybe join the union then, and it's not. It helps other people too who aren't in the union. If you increase the wages of people in the union, even people outside of the union can use that as a bargaining chip to say, they're making this much, they got a raise, I should be making more. But you should be joining a union. Join a union if you can. Unionize. Unions are good.
The fat cats at the very top. If you're trying to convince yourself and you try to convince your friends and family that that union does something great for we the
True! My lovely wife, Dr. Baha, is in 2 unions.
people, you're only lying to yourselves. All it is nothing more than another cartel.
Tune in! Tune in! Tune in!
Do you think it's
Freyline says, so non-combat, and he became a veteran by being kidnapped by cops. Did I hear that right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't understand that part, to be honest.
an accident that these unions always seem to appear at shipping ports or places where you must have goods come and go? In the public sector, such as energy? Those are all heavily union. Why? Because they know they can artificially inflate everything and the taxpayer has to bear the burden of it. That's why. That's how a city, a small city, can actually issue billions of dollars in debt, their bonds.
Wait, what?
In the public
I
sector,
gotta go
such as
back a
energy,
sec.
you can convince your friends and family that that union does something great for we the people. You're only lying to yourselves. All it is nothing more than another cartel.
What?
Do you think it's an accident that these unions always seem to appear at shipping
Poor people who are anti-union piss me off. They fell for propaganda.
ports or places where you must have goods come and go? In the public sector, such as energy? Those are all heavily union. Why? Because they know they can artificially inflate everything and the taxpayer has to bear the burden of it.
Yeah, that's not how anything works, friend.
That's why. That's how a city, a small city, can actually issue billions of dollars in debt, their bonds. Why? Because they have guaranteed revenue from all the bullshit dumbasses that continue to pay property taxes within their city boundaries. Why? Because you don't know how to get the meets and bounds and record them against the property's description in the land records. You have no idea what to do when you get a bill from the state of whoever, and you ask them, go ahead and prove how I owe you anything now that this is part of fee to trust status within the Department of the Bureau of the Land Management and the Department of the Interior. Says states can't tax federal stuff and vice versa. So I'm curious. Provide, within 10 days evidence or it doesn't exist. And if you send me another bill, I'm going to turn you in to the the Credit Protection Act, Fair Trade Practices Act, as well as trying to collect an unlawful debt, which is a Class C felony. Show me your debt collector's license. Show me your 12B1. Show me your foreign registration statement.
Ever
Who in
seen
the
a
hell
gooey duck? I have.
are you claiming that you have a right
They're gross.
to tell me I owe you money on my own land? Within my own home? Did I say property? Did I say house? No. I said land, I said home. Why do you think you have a right to speak to me? It's clearly posted outside on my fence. Private property. Private. Not property, just private. That means do not trespass. Why? Because your
Okay, but if they have a warrant, it's not trespassing, no matter what you say.
laws don't apply here. The laws for the Republic apply here. You can take your artificial map that your state created
All maps are artificial. What do you think maps are?
and stick it up your ass.
I don't want to stick a map up my ass.
Unless you can prove I have a contract or you have some right to, transgress this boundary, guess what? You're a criminal. And according to laws for the Republic, one has a right to defend their home with deadly force if they wish.
There's a threat. Basically telling the cops, if you come to my house, I'm gonna hurt you. That's not good.
Let's keep going.
Hate how he asks why before such a banal and wrong statement. Yeah, he's using really, really, really basic rhetorical tools over and over again, and it's annoying. It's the same. It's the verbal version of people who use annoying transitions in PowerPoint and use like way too animated ones over and over and over. It's the verbal equivalent to that. Gamer G says, I'm not one to wish bad on people, which you can't on Twitch. Okay. I'm not one to wish bad on people, but there would be something ironic about the guy who fakes being indigenous getting his property seized by the government for not paying taxes. He would finally have the true indigenous experience.
So Union thuggery operated by a proven Native American leader. Again, federal contractor, worked in pretty much every place I've been. I've been known to be someone who supports veterans, somebody who actually, has put together things for law enforcement and veterans to help them out when they needed it. So again, whatever any bar cartel members have in some bullshit Admiralty court record, just remember it's evidence of treason. It's evidence of racketeering and how human trafficking operates in their bullshit and EC Prius courts. You know why? Because none of the chicken shits will sit here and actually discuss it in front of me, will they? They'll make all kinds of accusations knowing that you have no way to clear up their records. Why? Because it's their records. Everybody out there, carrying a gun is going to believe it. The public at large is going to believe it again, because like Trump's been pointing out to you, this fake news cartel, these are propagandists. These are
Everyone I don't like is a cartel.
not newspaper people. Go read the
Baskin Robbins was out of peanut butter chocolate chip the other day. I'm sick of these ice cream cartels stopping me from getting what I deserve.
trial of John Peter Zenger. That was a newspaper man. That was a man there who actually, with great threat to his own life, stood behind the truth, speaking the truth. And it was the truth that set him free, and a talented attorney as well, but the truth nonetheless. You do not have truth today when you have a bunch of people dressed in suits pretending like they're actually objective reporters. They are not reporters, people. These are propagandists. And if you understand the history of that Ukraine region, Donbass region,
Oh, God.
during the World War II era, and you look at it through the lens again of the protocols, Trump's not over there with Putin. Again, China, Russia, America. Look at it again, one level higher. If they were working together since the beginning, who are they actually rooting out over there? And how do they, stage that in such a way that the world at large won't panic?
Wow, so he's justifying the invasion of Ukraine under the pretense of JQ conspiracy theories. Wowzers, that's disgusting.
They make it about, Putin being the aggressor. Got to remember, people, since Trump first took office, you've been watching a military operation. You look at the hats that he's wearing, it says 45-47. That means 45, 46, and 47.
I mean, that's just because I don't think they know that, and maybe a slash looked bad on the hats. Not a literal declaration. Why is it Tuesday suddenly? It's tinfoil forever! This is just life now. Ford, thanks for a 3-stream streak.
There's no comma. You have the clues out there in front of you if you are discerning enough to be able to see them. And again, now I'm speaking to gurus. Park your pride for a minute. Start talking to your people about things that you know about. If you understand the scriptures, you know the story. You juxtapose it against the protocols, against the Rabbi Finkelstein.
The fraudulent protocols and the complete nonsense Rabbi Finkelstein interview that, once again, if you fell for that, you need a lobotomy.
Interview. At some point in Revelation, there's going to be a 30-minute space of silence. If it says that it will be just like it was in the days of Noah, how is that going to happen? Likely. If we're on the the Hebrew calendar, the original calendar, Yahuwah's calendar.
E7M1K, thanks for
you
following.
have the blood moons. You have all these other things that precede the second coming of Yahusha. We still have the 7-year tribulation and a lot of other things to go through. But if you're looking at that calendar, I'm not date picking. I'm saying according to the calendar, all of the things since then, it says 2033 is about the end on the scriptural timeline. Just pretend for a second that that's true. If that's true, let's go ahead and back up. How many years before you get to 2033 from now? We have 5 years until we hit 2030, so we're 8 years away. So that means by 2026, at the end of 2026 or whatever, somewhere within that timeline, we should be beginning the tribulation. So what happens when...
Is he trying to predict the rapture? Has he heard of Harold Camping or any of the million other people who tried to predict the end of the world? Never works out.
Trump comes in.
Benikagami with 40 bits says, speaking of courts and cops, Luigi is looking like he may get a mistrial because the cops were so incompetent. They arrested him without a warrant, illegally took his DNA, and they've sold the info about the case to a documentary company, jeopardizing the trial. I'm honestly wondering if another defund the police movement is going to kick off, especially as we're going to have to rely on the states more now. I mean, they don't need a warrant to arrest him if he's just suspected of being the primary suspect in a murder case. I don't think they needed a warrant to arrest him in that restaurant or whatever. I don't know about the DNA and stuff. I'm just not going to get my hopes up on that. That would be great. What a great story if he got set free, in my opinion. But I'm not going to have my hopes up for that.
For the next year, and then on
the system would do everything in its power to ensure that did not happen.
July 4th, everybody's going to start having the elections, right? But for the next year, you're going to have Trump, you're going to have all the Doge committees, everybody else out there playing out this scenario for you on live TV.
You've heard their questions about the legitimacy of the backpack, too. It's the internet, man. People are going to claim about the legitimacy of anything. Just letting you know. Don't get too caught up in internet shit. Just don't get your hopes up, people.
Remember, these people have been on both sides of every single war. They financed every single war. Do you want to...
This fucking guy. Again, this is just anti-Semitic JQ conspiracy.
We believe that they would ever put anything this big...
According to his lawyer, they did need a warrant? Yeah, he's his lawyer.
...into play without having both...
Okay. Do you think that the defense attorney might have a reason to make claims that are legally dubious in the zealous advocacy for their client?
Sides covered? Do you understand what you're looking at when you read Masonic texts and you see what's happening? Again, is it our job to stop any of this? No. It's our job, pastors, gurus, to educate those with ears to hear and eyes to see, and to establish something like a Mahto village in one's area. Why is that? Because without you doing it, no...
To be fair, she's not an idiot lawyer. I'm not saying she's an idiot. I think you guys don't understand what I'm saying. Lawyers will do long shot nonsense arguments that have almost no chance of going through just because it's their job. It's their job to do every avenue they think is even a little bit possible.
Nobody else is going to do it. These people will be partying and carrying on right before the flood, just before the rapture. Now, whether or not you agree with that event, fine. However, if you do not agree with the event, feel free to contact me and tell me what the verses relating to it mean. 2 will be in a field, 1 will be gone. 2 will lay down, 1 will be gone. You tell me why those are in there. Why did they use the Greek amalgam word harpazo, which means a forceful and a quick snatching away? Why does it have talk about a second coming and then talk about the rapture? 2 completely different events depending on what you're looking at in the New Testament or the Old Testament. Yeah, I said Old Testament. Why? You look at Daniel in the furnace. Was he in the furnace or was he conspicuously absent? But who was walking around with his believing friends in that furnace? That was Yahusha. During the tribulation. What? It's fire in a furnace. That's what you're looking at. Same type of...
Fire in a furnace in a combat site. West of left is coming with the hurry, with the fury, breathing down your neck. Team by team reporters baffle Trump.
Optics. Now, look at it from a world and historical perspective at the same time. If we have roughly 1 year until the beginning of the 7-year tribulation, if that were true, at the end of which Yahusha returns, you know the rest. But if that's where we're at, or even if we're at the point in which we've had a 1,000-year reign of peace, which again, I don't see that anywhere. There's too many other things that don't fit. Because then Satan's chain is way too long. Unless, of course, he's changed the times and the seasons and knocked out about, 1,200 years of history. I get it. Fine. Either way, we haven't seen a tribulation that we've been aware of, been able to prove scripturally that's happened yet. Have you? I haven't. None of the things, the third temple, none of those things have come about. But I do believe it will happen soon. Why is that? Because if you look at where they currently believe the temple is at in Jerusalem, I've been there, there is no place there with a water source, kids.
Okay. Let's see if we can get past this section if he says anything else, and then we can move on.
All the believers on the planet and all the kids disappear in the twinkling of an eye. Do you have any idea?
Is he pronouncing Yeshua as Yeshua? Yes. Yeshua? Yes.
The chaos that will ensue, the fear that people will be gripped with?
Yahusha? Yes.
This is why all of this stuff
one.
has to be done in a way that Yahuwah's plan is going to lay it out. This is why no pastor, no American, nobody out there should be talking about doing anything against the government, anything against any government. It's stupid. Not our job to take care of that. It's our job to keep writing emails, keep, sending letters, keep doing things to bring this to the attention of the right people. That's what peaceful Americans do. We will not deign or lower ourselves to actually engage in the same.
I understand what you're saying, Fenekagami, and let me be clear. I hope that you're right. I'm just very skeptical because at this point, even if what you were saying was true, I do not believe that the legal system necessarily functions in an objective way that would take that into account. I hate to say that. I just have a very cynical view of this, and I don't think it would matter, even if it was true what that lawyer is saying.
Same tactics as losers who are out here violating the republic. They will pay.
Just a peach with $1 tips is I would be very worried about his ability to get his kids in the next couple of years. He still has visitation rights, I think, occasionally, which is scary.
Not me. Not unless I get the green light from our president, our commander-in-chief. I'd certainly be willing to help in a heartbeat, yeah. But I know they got it handled. I know they'll take care of it. And if not, then, the Mahto tribe doing business on behalf of, the all caps entity, I'm just going to file a lien against their lands, everything else. And, once their credit keeps getting screwed up, if they want to face me in court, charge me. I don't care. I'm no longer asking. Again, you're going to keep paying for this financially until I get my arms back.
Commercial.
You had no right to take them. You had no due process. You literally are training our brave law enforcement officers to go out here and operate on your cartel members' behalves. It's not the chicken shit attorneys or judges that are out here trying to stop people and steal stuff. You send an officer in a uniform who doesn't know any better. That's about the most impressively cowardly shit I've ever heard in my life. But again, not surprised when you read your playbook. Here we go. So it's an ambitious plan that, again, could put millions to work. Why? Because one in every county. That's what we're looking to do with the biodome above.
With what?
The biodome protects those who are left behind, which is what the villages are for.
What? The fuck is he talking about? Biodome? M. Scheffler says, how many people constitute a tribe? I imagine it's more than one. You'd think. He does have other people in his group. I've seen at least 3.
That biodome protects him from chemtrails. It protects him from whatever. And if you
oh my god, he believes in chemtrails. He just believes every conspiracy theory, doesn't he? Borderline impressive.
Correctly, yes, you can even create a hyperbaric environment. You know what happens in a hyperbaric environment to everything that's living?
It's too much oxygen and stuff lights on fire easily.
Cool stuff.
Okay, cool stuff. Good. Cool beans.
Provide educational centers for skilled trades and operated by a proven Native American leader with a great track record for loyalty to the Republic. Again, twice I was turned away on base trying to give evidence of this and accused again of being a criminal. Serving and employing nearly 100% veterans during my time as a federal contractor. We had nearly 100% veteran employment rate. Native American
Has
veterans.
Kat been up to anything lately? I actually do have her pulled up. Same old, basically. Still complaining that she lost her house.
Other types of
Even though she chose to stop paying the mortgage, even though she had the money for it, she just thought she didn't have to pay.
veterans. I was one of the few contractors who could work in many of the villages in Alaska because we are Native owned.
He showed a casino that has a dome in Idaho at one point. He thinks it's a biodome? Why?
And I wouldn't take shit from any Native out there telling me I didn't belong there because I wasn't part of their nation. I was Native too. My people used to travel everywhere. If this was 300 years ago when I traveled up there and somebody had a problem with me being there, that would be the last problem they had in their lives, likely. You didn't stop somebody from traveling back in the day. You did so under threat of death. Unless they were transgressing your property, something else like that, you left people the hell alone. In regard to Doge and my request for an appointment therein as a fellow contractor, business owner, personal security firm owner, bodyguard, bachelor's in criminal justice, proven
I'm sorry, he wants to work for Doge.
calm, controlled demeanor, even while being armed and heavily agitated and capable of defending myself without weapons, resourceful, driven, and as the last 11 years and cases spanning more than 5 courts, unrelenting. In other words, I haven't stopped. It's been 11 years. I'm still out here filing things, hoping at some point I'm going to get a judge that actually looks at their duty to the republic as something that's far greater than trying to pretend like they have a reason to ignore everything. That's what's happening. We have no enforcement because it's bar cartel members who are at the very top of this. So it doesn't matter which court you take it to. They're just going to throw it out, figure out some reason to laugh at it, shave it off, do whatever. I've taken the actual course called How to Win in Court Without an Attorney. It teaches you how to do procedure and all these other things. But again, they don't care.
And you haven't won, so I guess that course was a waste of money.
It's not what it's about. It's about maintaining their court. That's who every bar association's first loyalty is to the court, their client second. They don't tell you that, but that's the truth. Go read it. And let's see, if there's a singular member of any Dodge committee who's ideally suited to assist with the bar cartel member roundup from an educational firsthand victim and
Bar card member roundup. He wants to be on a team that arrests all the lawyers and judges that aren't loyal to his and Trump's ideals. Oh boy, that sure sounds great and not at all incredibly authoritarian, fascist, and scary.
whistleblowers proven loyalty. Please allow me to shake their hand and learn
Of course it's ominous.
from them. I don't claim to be the top of anything. I don't claim to be anybody intelligent, but I know.
What are you going to do after you round them up? Is it going to be like a party? It'll be the final party.
What I know. And yeah, I'll put my experience up against any Doge committee members, whether it's engineering the entire thing, correctly to make sure that we take them down properly with, the least amount of lives lost, or it's out there assisting with researching, assisting with doing the computer programming stuff, researching their business, knowing exactly what a financial report is, how to find discrepancies. Yeah, I've had to do that. I'm a business owner. I get it. My bachelor's is criminal justice, so I know a thing or two about the tactics of all these nefarious sorts. Not pretending, again, my services are needed. I don't labor under the delusion that I'm anything or anybody special. They have this handled. They don't need me to get it done. But if you want my help, yes, absolutely. I'm all over that like a fat kid on a cupcake. Simply saying, if and when the time comes to drop the hammer on the Washington Territories cartel members, I'm all over it. I'm all over any duties my president might ask of me in bringing these Title 4D Section 666 child traffickers to justice. After that job is done, it would be great to have a Mahto Village headquarters to serve my veterans, first responders, law enforcement, and most importantly, orphans. Yes, they're my veterans. I've always used that term. Why? Because they're my veterans. They're my brothers and sisters. That's why. Thank you for assisting me with clearing up any taxes, Treasury, IRS issues related to the above estate. The servant is...
Mr. President, I'll arrest lawyers for you. Will you please help me with my taxes? Mr. President, Excuse me, Mr. President! I have tax issues. Will you please deal with them, please? I will kill whoever you want. Oh my god.
Issued items in good faith, received no proof of defect in anything, and continues to be not denied a passport due to a debt against a fictional entity cartel members created, and other methods apparently designed to discredit and trammel one's right to engage in commerce domestically or internationally. That's a crime. Thank you in advance for your positive consideration of this request, Mr. President.
That's quite
I autographed it,
presumptuous.
Chief Mahto for Idaho, assumed business name Marcus Troy Ream. Why is that? Because that's the Idaho assumed business name entity I'm doing business under in the territory of Washington. I've recorded that and filed that in the appropriate court, as well as in the appropriate recorder's office or assessor's office. Now, are they going to honor that? Are they going to recognize that? Probably not. Again, we're dealing with criminals here. So anything's possible. But I wanted to at least bring you guys up to speed on how did we get here from where we started. And when I say started as a nation. Okay. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who your family was. If they came to this nation and they were on the so-called Mayflower, they were part of the, original non-indigenous tribes, then yes, your people were part of conquering all the indigenous tribes. Okay. Or at least presumably all of them. Again, our band is not a conquered band. We are just peaceful American Indians who know the value of having a very stable government in place, and that's our government. But your people got enslaved.
Why is he sitting in a pitch black room? Because darkness is his only friend.
Right along with my people.
I've come to talk with you again when the vision softly is sleeping.
People. Right? Whether it's the Black or the Native American component to my family tree, when they passed the 14th Amendment. Now, there's court cases that clearly say that it wasn't supposed to be that way, but have you read them? Could you cite them in court when it mattered? No. And they're aware of that. They know you don't know shit about court. They know you don't know shit about procedure. If you're a pastor, these guys at the top know that if you don't want to get hassled, you're going to fill out the 501c3 paperwork. What do you mean by hassled? That means when you do your taxes, but you're not quite sure how they should be done because you're doing them as a 501c3, so you're paying all the expenses there. Yet if you're a Bible-based entity already, the IRS code already says that you're tax exempt, which means people can deduct donations to you. But when the IRS looks it up, they see the name, they see you have a foreign EIN, they close the book, it's done. You issue the correct documents to everybody that sends you donations. That's what my church is going to do so that they can deduct it on their taxes. But until the IRS gives me evidence of how I have a right to divulge anything to them.
That doesn't even make sense.
I'm going to autograph them in the name.
You need something from the IRS to tell you that you have approval to give them your information. Does that make sense? No.
Church, but I'm going to leave the numbers blank.
Dickbag?
Why? Because I don't have a duty to do their work for them. If they have an issue, if they have something like that, I've given you the appropriate paperwork. I've sent you all of the forms necessary to show you who actually made a donation to me. They're sending that stuff, and to me, I mean the ministry. So they're sending in their taxes. If you have any questions about what the ministry owes, or you believe that this private ministry owes you, feel free to go ahead and write a letter, Jack. Feel free to give me a call. Feel free to provide evidence of anything I ever autographed on behalf of this ministry that said I agreed to allow you to tax a goddamn thing that we do. I didn't. I don't recognize your authority to tax Yahuwah.
Carpkosian? That's probably not good.
His people.
Probably do something about that. You know what? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not one to say, but I think that's probably not good. Benakagami says, here's some joy. My trans cousin got married to her wife before the inauguration to try to get ahead of the cons, and I'm going to their ceremony next month. It's the least I can do to show her support, especially since I've been I'm too tired from working to do much more than badger my reps in Congress to get their shit together. Nice. Well, I hope that that's cool.
or our ministry.
Oh, your income is non-taxable? Like really non-taxable or fake non-taxable like this guy?
And again, you're welcome to show me any evidence of
Nah, I trust you. Whatever. That's cool.
this. But you'd also then have to show me how the Catholic Church pays taxes on all their lands. They don't.
I'm pretty sure Catholic churches in the United States properly file their paperwork so that they're tax exempt. You haven't done that. You need to apply and be approved for that.
Show me where they pay
You need to be a 501c3.
taxes to anybody.
Is that the church one? 501c3? Or is that a typical nonprofit? Either way, there's a special one for religious organizations.
They don't.
I would agree they should pay taxes, but they don't if they file the paperwork.
So what makes their church any better than mine? It isn't.
That's a typical nonprofit. What is the church one?
Mine actually follows the correct name of the Most High and his son Yahusha. You guys follow foreign Elohim. JC, God, Lord. These are not found in the original Hebrew scriptures. Why? Because
501c3? That's the one I already
they're
said,
pagan.
right?
Pastors, why are you listening or why are you reading anything that's Greek or Latin? Why are you telling any of your flock to go to church on a day that is not scripturally sound? Let's just say it's your son that you're doing the wedding for. And his daughter and his wife to be was Becky. People showed up asking for Betsy.
That's his cheese thing.
To engage in a convo with you, they stopped.
All right. I think we've had enough Chief Mahto today. We get it. He's a crackpot. Let's move on. Hey, how's Cat a Spindle Ben? Someone asked about Cat, so let's get an update from her.
Take control of your life.
This is her doing an interview with another person who's doing a similar mortgage thing that she did. Lost her house. Diogenes, thanks for 12 months, says an entire year with me, you, and Amazon Prime. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It helps support the stream very much.
Today, revoke your election and let's...
Where an ad goes.
Partner of Cantor Fitzgerald and lived through 9/11. And
okay, what?
And let's...
Ad break.
Partner of Cantor Fitzgerald and lived through 9/11. And this is at the level of that experience of losing my entire firm and everybody in it.
59-year-old Andrew Pritchard tells us he's about to be evicted from his $3.5 million home on the Norwalk shore. He says a mortgage company he took out a loan with in 2003 defrauded him and is now trying to seize his property.
Okay, the defrauding thing that the news is just reporting here, I'm assuming he thinks he's been defrauded, but I don't think he actually has been. This is the same way that Kat claims that she's been defrauded. She hasn't. She just got a bunch of sovereign citizen ideas in her head and started believing that mortgages were fraud. They're not.
Illegally. In court documents obtained by News 12 Connecticut, the lifelong Norwalk resident alleges the court system has failed to protect him.
On Tuesday, May 31st, they are coming to evict my family from this house at 9 a.m. and they have no claim and no right. My 3 boys have grown up here. We've been here 27 years. This isn't just another house for us. This is our home.
He says it's his right under the...
It's possible this person has an actual fraud claim, but Kat doesn't. We'll find out. She's interviewing him in this thing, so we'll find out.
Connecticut Constitution to have a trial by jury, but says he's being denied. He says he has no idea where his family will go if they're forced out of their home come Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what makes me think he's full of shit. Because, like, he's talking to Kat. You know what I mean?
Hello, good men, women, sons, and daughters.
Oh, it's very nice looking property.
This is Cat Spindle with...
Like, right by the water. $3 million.
One New Earth. And welcome to my live restream show. Again, I had issues. I quickly cut that live. It wasn't working on my end anyways. It started to a little bit, and I created a new one. So look in the comments for the new link if you're hopefully already here. So anyways, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. I really, really appreciate you. Today, I have a guest that I would love for you to meet. I've been talking with him for at least the last year and a half or so. His name is Andrew Pritchard, and he is the gentleman that you saw earlier on the video. And he had discovered, just like many of us who've been on this road, the mortgage fraud that is going on in the background.
Yep. So, not actual fraud, it seems. Seems like he just fell for the same thing she did and stopped paying the mortgage because he thought he didn't have to. Sad stuff. Kids, if you're lucky enough to get a mortgage, hopefully not at the rates they're at currently, holy shit. But if you're lucky enough to get a mortgage, let me tell you, you're on the hook for that mortgage. And if you don't pay it, they're going to take your house. That's what a mortgage is. Not unsecured. It's secured by the real property. So if you don't pay it, they're going to take your shit. So I'd suggest you pay your mortgage.
Where the banks provide absolutely nothing, but over 1 million people per year on average over the last several years have been pushed out of their homes.
And that's incredibly tragic, and people who genuinely can't pay their mortgages deserve support and help. And a lot of leeway, I think, because, you know, shit gets fucked up and I don't think people deserve to lose their homes. Difference, Kat, is those people were going through hardship. You just decided to stop paying your mortgage because you think you can get away with doing it. And that's pretty fucked up.
When the banks provide absolutely nothing.
Nemesaurus says, I stopped paying my mortgage years ago and nothing bad has happened so far. Let me guess, you stopped paying after you paid it off?
Nothing.
I cut off your joke. Deal with it, Nemesaur.
This is crimes against humanity.
Or I stole it.
You know, a lot of people are waking up to all of the fraud going on. We see Doge. We see what's going on with Doge. And in the Loop video, you saw how Elon Musk was talking to Ted Cruz about magic money. This money that just magically appears for them. And somehow they can use that as a tool.
Oh my god, they're all so stupid. The world is being run by the stupidest, most conspiratorial people. Kind of fascinating. It would be really interesting to watch if I wasn't stuck in it. Steve Hawk with 41 months says, this mortgage PSA brought to you by Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. Fuck you, I'm eating. I need to watch Idiocracy again. It's a fun movie. Although I'm not a fan of the eugenics shit. It's generally funny. But yeah, can't really bring up that movie without the eugenics thing. Still pretty funny.
Enslave us and to, again, kick us out, even though they have provided nothing and are committing fraud, all done under deception.
Amber says the government can, in fact, make money out of nothing. That's why it's a fiat currency.
And so Andrew is a wealth of knowledge with all of this, and he's got a lot going on. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring Andrew on. So here we go. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
How are you doing today? Thank you for being on my show.
Good. I might be able.
Now we'll find out. Is this guy in genuine hardship and doesn't know that Kat's crazy? Or is he also delusional?
A little slap happy and East Coast guy, so.
No problem. No problem there. I'm just going to pull something off here really quickly. Get this going. All right. Okay. So, Andrew, thank you again for being on my show. And I wanted to talk about, why don't you first introduce who you are and how you came to this knowledge of the mortgage fraud going on in the background, and give everyone a little bit of backstory on what happened that day.
Okay. I've worked many years in finance. I hold every license except, well, I've held every license.
Oh no. Is this going to be similar to Kat, where she worked in property management and she started to think she had a better understanding of the system than she actually had and think she cracked some code like the fucking Riddler in the Batman movie. Oh, God.
Since except the 27. I've been managing director of multiple firms. I was a partner at Cantor Fitzgerald, the buildings 911. Our Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, was my partner, is my partner, as a matter of fact. He still hasn't given me my partnership back, but that's another story.
US could be debt-free tomorrow. Just type 37 trillion into the computer. Might be some side effects. Yeah, that would be really bad. That would be very, very bad. The thing that I think a lot of people like this don't get is that the economy is an abstraction. Currency is an abstraction. We're trying to manage labor. We're trying to manage resources, including labor, right? And we're using money to do that with a system that has its own set of rules. And I don't know if they understand that. I don't know if they understand what money or the economy even, like, is.
I knew a lot about mortgage backs because I originally was pursued to trade mortgage backs with a gentleman named Andy Stone, who was one of the, let's call it the disciples of Lou Ranieri out of Solomon Brothers in the creation of mortgage backs securities. I knew who the original players were, who the buyers were. The original buyers was a gentleman named Mickey Roth, who ran USAA, basically call it the insurance company of the military, if you will. So I have a lot of experience and understand all the stuff in the background. I knew that there were huge problems with mortgage-backed securities because of the title going way back.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that there wasn't a clean chain of title. I always knew that. And actually, that's why I did not get involved with mortgage-backed securities. And in the early days of mortgage-backed securities, we used to, the big primary dealers used to settle the transactions once a month. And it used to literally take down Wall Street's trading systems because it was such a mess. Just to carry this through, if we get.
So it's generally understood that mortgage-backed securities, in particular ones that were full of subprime mortgages, are bad, and what led to the 2008 financial crisis, at least the way they were structured previously, because they were getting misgraded by the grading agencies. So it's fair to point out issues in mortgage-backed securities that have existed and maybe even to some extent still exist, but what does this have to do with the mortgage itself?
Get to 2008.
Sounds like he got enlightened during the 2008 mortgage crisis, yeah, because the mortgage-backed securities are what that was about, basically.
2009. Back in around 2004, 2005.
There's a similar problem these days where there's a bunch of loans, securitized by people's automobiles, and those have been packaged up into securities. Some of those are pretty subprime loans too, so look out for that, Bubble.
I was telling everybody in the world, this whole thing's going to blow up in everyone's face. And as a matter of fact, my wife used to go, "Oh, please, can you stop?" I'm like, "Well, you'll see." And it did just that. What's most amazing is, quote, the fix that they did, which I also was intimately involved with because I put a proposal before the Treasury as a way to cure the banking problem with the mortgage-backed securities, because I knew at that moment in time that basically Bernanke was holding the basket of everything. So I have a lot of inside knowledge as to the stuff that was going on. But
yeah, if he knew this was all happening, why wouldn't he have done like a kind of what the Big Short guys did? They saw it and made a bunch of money.
Things, and
I guess not everyone has access to capital for that, but
get away from some name dropping.
Find it a little sus that he was claiming to be this in on it at the time.
If you go back to 2008, 2009, and anybody.
You're shocked the car loan bubble didn't pop already? Oh my god. You don't even want to know. Not only that, there's a huge bubble of like financing, like quick financing, like companies like Affirm, companies like, what are the other ones? You know, stuff where it's like, but you know, buy now, pay over 12 or 18 months or whatever. There's like a huge bubble on that. PayPal does it too, especially amongst younger people.
You can do this, and you look up, you'll see congressional testimony.
Klarna, yep. I think Klarna just signed up with DoorDash so you can like finance your fucking sandwiches. Like, oh my God.
From all the quote experts.
Mm-hmm.
The term itself scares me because if you are an expert in anything, you realize how dumb you are. And you usually don't go around saying, I'm an expert.
Right.
Every time I hear an expert, and that's why I constantly say I'm an expert dummy, because more and more I learn. Anyway, in 2000,
consumer debt shouldn't be easier. I'm waiting to see within 10 years.
2008, 2000.
Let me take it one sec. I'm going to take a stab in the dark at a terrifying future thing. Klarna teaming up with FanDuel or something so that you can finance sports betting. Boom. Make me a CEO. I just came up with the most evil thing you've all heard all week. Financed sports betting. We did it.
2009, all the testimony before Congress, every single expert that got up there said it would take decades to clean up all the fraud and documentation and everything else that's there. Yet nobody who enters foreclosure wins. All you need is one little thing of fraud, yet nobody wins.
Right.
And I realized this when this stuff went on with what happened with me. And what happened with me is I sort of stumbled into this because, and I feel this is part of my journey, my spiritual journey, if you will, that I've been placed here. And I
delusions of grandeur.
Humbly shared numbers and things like that.
You laugh, but there are laws about that. For instance, you can't buy lottery tickets with a credit card. Is it illegal? I know the state doesn't do that because this lottery is run by the state, but could a private company do it? Oh.
It's not to put myself up or anything else when I share these numbers, but it should.
No idea if you get them over there too, but Klarna here claims you should use it because Da Vinci and chess players do? What? Theradona says, how about financed OTC stock trading? Oh, wait.
Shows how extraordinary a situation it is. That house that you saw me.
OTC is pink sheets, chat, if you don't know. Pink sheets are shit. They're penny stocks. They're big gambles.
Standing in front of that house sits in Fairfield.
Oh, wait, no, OTC is even below penny stocks, right? Because penny stocks are penny stocks. OTC is below that, and you need a license to even buy them, right? Because they're so risky and like non-thing.
County, Connecticut, one of the wealthiest counties in the country. It's the county of Greenwich, Stamford, New Canaan, Darien, Westport, Connecticut. It's like the Gold Coast. That property sits on the main harbor. It faces due west, so it catches every sunset. Lived there my whole life. I built the house, restored the house, and built it with a construction company that I had with some buddies that I used to bang nails with.
Okay.
So it's my home.
Mm-hmm.
That day was the day before what was supposed to be a May 29 or May.
OTC over-the-counter delisted from NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange for being below $1 for an extended time. Thank you.
31 eviction. They showed up at my house. I had all the documentation and everything else. There were a whole bunch of cops. There were I think there were 13 police officers in total that showed up. They skedaddled out of there with all the documentation and everything that I had because I had federal claims, all kinds of things.
Where would I rate OTC versus crypto? You want someone who is not a financial advisor with no financial education, who just had to have it explained to her exactly what OTC was to make a judgment about it versus crypto. Why?
You should know that 3 months later, they showed up again with an eviction, and they showed up with 55 police officers, 70 in total, raided my house. They used, on my front lawn, they used what's known as a long-range acoustic device, an LRAD, to clear the people that were there. They actually used it at a harmful level.
Did he just say, wait, when did he say they were using this weapon? This sound-based weapon?
All kinds of things. You should know that 3 months later, they showed up again with an eviction, and they showed up with 55 police officers, 70 in total, raided my house.
I don't believe 70 police officers raided your house. I don't believe that. I don't even think 70 people would fit in your house.
They used, on my front lawn, they used what's known as a long-range acoustic device, an LRAD, to clear the people that were there. They actually used it at a harmful level.
So crowd dispersal with audio is a thing. That is a thing. Did they really do that at his house? It's possible.
The New York City Police Department.
I find it sus, though, because he's the kind of person that strikes me as paranoid. And it's really hard to tell, you know?
Used one of the
LRAD's a real thing, but I doubt they did it there. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, it's definitely a possible thing, but I think on balance, I gotta go with he's just paranoid. Who knows, though?
Those twice, and they outlawed them because of the damage that they did to people. And you know that you're at a certain level because a beeper goes off. Anyway, let's get back to the particulars on my house. How did I step into this, accidentally? All of a sudden,
Don't they use LRADs to break up riots? Yes.
I start getting notices that I'm in foreclosure.
There was actually footage recently where one was used, and it's crazy to see just the people, like, spread out like the fucking Red Sea. They split right where the thing was fired down. It was crazy.
And I was on auto pay. Okay. I only took out the loan on my house because I owned everything else outright. And what happened is, with different private business stuff that I was doing, everybody was telling me I don't have a credit
Tech Ingredients did a pretty good video on LRADs and their implementations. Thanks for the link.
rating. So I took out a $700,000 mortgage when I did some renovation on the house. And basically it was a 15-year note. And I think I took it out at around something like 5 5/8. And I know finance inside and out, arbitrage and all kinds of stuff. And I didn't even care about like getting lower rates. They'd call me all the time going, oh, you can get a better rate and everything else. And as a matter of fact, City Mortgage Inc., who was the one that I did the mortgage with, was constantly telling me I could borrow up to $5 million and buy a new house. Even the day I received foreclosure documents, I received that. I said I own the place outright, effectively. What happened is they on purpose started taking double payments out of my account.
Whoa.
And I stopped paying them April 18th.
Did he have like a ballooning payment thing or something where he had some sort of do they do that much anymore? I know that was a thing back prior to 2008 where they did the promotional rates, and then after a year or two or something, the actual rate would kick in and people would get screwed because all of a sudden their payments would be like 3 to 5 times as much. That what happened here? Because, like, if it was a situation where they started accidentally taking out double, you could get that resolved. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, was it adjustable? Because that happened. Yeah, if he had an adjustable rate mortgage, interest went up a lot in the past 2 or 3 years. Basically, they upped rates. Did he have an adjustable and he got fucked on it? And he just didn't want to, like, admit that he fucked up? And that, yeah, it's predatory, but, like, you know, you could have got a fixed rate, I would assume. Yeah, I have a fixed rate, too, and I got it when rates were low. I'm very, very happy with that.
April 18th, and by May 4th, they foreclosed on me.
Wow.
Right. No, inside 30 days.
That's sus to me. If you were up to date on your payments and you had a good payment history, they're not going to foreclose on you in 30 days. That's just not good business. Like, even from a cynical, you know, I'm a predatory bank and I just want to take money and don't care about the human cost. Like, it would be a bad business model to do that. Because more likely, you could give someone who isn't paying for a month or two, or even up to 6, and maybe their financial situation will get better and they can pay you back and continue paying the mortgage. Because it costs more money to get a new customer in and do the mortgage than it does to, you know, just give a little leeway to one that's behind a bit. Of course, there's a breaking point. That's why eventually you will get foreclosed upon. But usually there's some leeway there.
There's nothing legal. There's nothing legal on anything.
No.
On top of that, I obviously, because of my
Sorry, I'm just trying to look at my exact rate because I'm curious. I forgot exactly what it
background, I set them up knowing that they, everything that I was being told there.
Have I seen Archaics? My mom is obsessed with this show. No, I've never seen it.
I got on recorded lines. Like, you guys know I own this outright and everything. Basically, what would end up happening is people would go, wait a minute. They would say, oh, you owe 98% on your house and everything. I go, no, you guys got it backwards. I own the house outright.
Long-term minimums to generate more income than foreclosures cost? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, come on. You don't own the $3.5 million house, because their foreclosure value they put on it was $3.4 million was their city mortgage used to do a foreclosure value, a discount from what it was worth. And so they established that value of 3.4 million. To me, it's priceless.
Right.
Anyway, so I kept going into situations where I'm like, you guys don't get it. I own this thing outright. On top of that, I got a federal claim on this thing.
No, you don't, though. You have a mortgage. Why does he? I don't understand. Did I miss the part where he explains why he thinks he owns it and doesn't owe the rest of the mortgage payments? Did I miss that because I was talking?
Stuff to set it up. So I have a federal claim, you name it, effectively an allodial title. I'm free.
There it is, allodial title. That's the same thing Kat tried on her house. Yep, it's nonsense.
And clear.
Because it was a second mortgage? Did he say that? Does he not understand that it doesn't matter if it's a first, second, third, fourth mortgage? It's a mortgage. It's securitized by your property. That's the point. That's what makes it a mortgage.
I go into court, and even the judges, when I first explained to them, they go, well, you owe all this. I go, no, you have it backwards. I'm the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Just on the scales of equity. If you say I owe 200 and I say, or their claim is for 200 and I got 3.4, we're out of here. I win.
Right.
No, because you would need to sell the house to give them the amount they're owed. You would still get equity out of it that you would put in, but you still owe them $200,000. It doesn't matter how much the house is worth now. You owe them a certain amount of money, and you need to get that money to them.
So that's how I first sort of came into this thing, like, this is silly. And then what happened is I started going to, I got an attorney that basically I decided I gotta watch this.
Built it and then took a mortgage when he renovated it, which is the same issue. Yeah, he doesn't, I don't think he understands that, like, it doesn't, you collateralized the loan with your real property. That's what the mortgage was. What does he think the mortgage is?
Because something doesn't seem right. Something's wrong here. Because when I went into foreclosure court. There's something smelly going on with this. So basically what I did was I got the attorney to represent my wife, saying that we're having a little friction because of everything that's going on.
Is he about to admit to fraud against the courts? Is this man about to admit fraud against the courts on stream? Feed it to me.
I got the attorney to represent my wife, saying that we're having a little friction because of everything that's going on, and that I'm going to represent myself. And in that manner, I could see how this guy was playing and what he was doing, and then I could just say no. And see, the court didn't control me because I hadn't given up my rights to an attorney, an officer of the court. It just tells you what to do, and there's nothing you can do because you're basically a village idiot. You're a ward of the court. And for that reason, all of a sudden, I started watching and seeing and everything else, and I go, my gosh, this is full on racketeering.
Mm-hmm.
This is racketeering, and I really saw horrible cases. I mean, just atrocious. And I started to realize that people were walking in with pure fraud documents. My documents were fraud. And I'm sitting here going, I had no idea how fraudulent my documents were until I started really looking at them. Mm-hmm. And then I go, holy cow, this is pure garbage. Like to the point where
Akito says, looks like he filed against the state of Connecticut in June for habeas corpus. Quote, the court finds that the petitioner has neither advanced the legal grounds upon which a federal court could issue such a writ, nor in any event explained the factual basis for such a writ to issue. I love the way that court documents are really nice and well articulated, and also incredibly brutal in their naked assessment that you are just sending them abject fucking nonsense.
The attorney that did my closing, I was like, you got to be kidding. What are we doing? Anyway, that's how I got into it. And as I got further into it,
ad break. Gotta love that dead air. Good shit. Thanks, Rumble.
I obviously started to score some points with some people, and that wasn't making them happy. And so, as I like to point out to people, I have 55 cops on my front lawn. That was the count that everybody had. I was cuffed, taken away, supposedly resisting arrest. They have me up on charges that equal 25 years in jail right now, criminal charges and things of that sort on my own.
Whoa, wait, what? I feel like we're not getting the whole story here. You're claiming that you're gonna get 25 years for resisting arrest? That's not a thing.
My own property. There's been no disposition up on charges that equal 25 years in jail right now, criminal charges and things of that sort on my own property. There's been no disposition in my case as of yet. And because of that, I took it upon myself to learn, to study and understand the law and the system. And I'm good at reverse engineering systems and things like that, and even developing systems. I have a couple of patents. I hold
every systems analyst that hears that just wants to bang their head on a table.
I believe I hold the first securities patent that was ever issued. People laughed at me when I went about it.
What?
It's what allows you to trade carbon credits. And actually, a lot of these things like crypto, stable coins and stuff like that, where they want to do asset-backed stuff in there, it actually violates the patent.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, he's like cracked. I see.
So there's some people that know about me and stuff. Other than that, I've been written up in one book. I forget what it's called now. I don't know. Something
me
about
ask
good
you,
guy.
Andrew,
Something about good guys on Wall Street. I'm
In Connecticut, resisting is a Class A misdemeanor up to a year in jail and a $2,000 fine. Yeah, either lying about the amount of time he's facing or lying about the charge.
actually, I tried.
Or just delusional. He's clearly a delusional person, so maybe he just doesn't really know the situation.
This is my little place on Rumble here, Humble on Rumble. I do that, just put the videos out on Humble on Rumble just to protect myself. It's in the light. Whatever I'm doing is in the light.
Right.
But you should know, just so you know, just to go back to that video, and there's some exciting videos if you can see all the cops and everything else on the August 29th eviction, where they ripped everything from my home and just destroyed things. They came with the exact same stuff. Nothing had changed from the May 31st eviction where they had to leave. So they were ordered to smash and grab, and it was a complete military assault. Just so you know, he's no longer with us, I'm sorry to say, but one of the witnesses is a father of a SEAL Team 6 member and was basically like, this is as good as watching one of the exercises. They had boats on the harbor. They had, he said, it's unbelievable. And
that's just
he
crazy.
was there to bail me out of jail. Oh, by the way, when
He got evicted on Terminator Judgment Day 8/29. Skynet's behind it. That makes sense.
Bailed me out of jail. They put us up on the news, myself with a mugshot on the news and everything. Like this was all orchestrated and planned.
Right.
The number of people that were there, they had to be in probably at the police station at 5 a.m. By the way, I was at the police station the day before talking to some people because I was keeping them up on different things that were going on with this stuff. So,
wow.
Pure assault.
Did you?
But anyway, it makes sense with everything,
can you hear me?
the lawlessness that we have going on right now.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. Just wanted to double check and make sure.
Sorry, I got a big mouth.
Let me ask you something. So you got put in basically torture cuffs, and
fucking Chili de Castro, man.
did you have to spend the night in
the cross-pollination of crack pottery is just it's ceaseless.
In jail, or what happened there?
No, I got bailed out. I can't remember how much I've spent on bail money. I've been 100,000, I think, so far in bail.
That would have paid half of what you owe on the mortgage. Just pay the mortgage.
Bail money. One of my favorite things is they issued a warrant and arrested me in court. They arrested me in the courthouse when I was there for court. And the best part is they took me from the courthouse to the police station and made me get myself bailed out. So in other words, the whole point of bail is to make sure you appear in court.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So they I mean, I'm just like, you guys, this is insanity. But anyway, and that's that. All the arrests and warrants are all fraudulent. I basically have lawsuits and things up. I think I'm up between all the different things. I'm up to probably somewhere in the neighborhood with all the different cases I'm involved with, probably up to 35 judges. 40 judges.
You're working on 35 judges right now?
They've been named as complicit participants and charged and everything else.
Nice. That's, you see, and this is what we need to do. Everyone, when we have judges that are going against the people, not allowing us to provide our evidence, they just completely
You don't have evidence. None of the things you believe are evidence. You are misunderstanding how mortgages work, Kat, for the 50,000th millionth time.
Guard the evidence and just side on the side of the lawyers and the bankers. And now we know that the banks provide absolutely nothing, and people are starting to find out about it. Is that noise?
Could I give a different perspective on all this?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to put this forward. We need to cut out all the noise of the brainwashing of all the stuff that we've been told. Like, one of those things, don't fight City Hall. You got to get.
I think the saying is you can't fight City Hall, not that you shouldn't.
Get an attorney, right?
Right.
If I ask you this question, there's two parties that come into the courtroom. They both have good arguments. There's one with an expensive attorney and one with a cheaper attorney. Which one wins?
Probably the more expensive attorney.
So that's
Tara with 39 months says praise, Paul. Thank you. And well, yes, the expense of an attorney is going to have a correlation with their success. The facts of the case matter. That's something sovereign citizens never seem to get, is that the facts of the case matter. They're kind of the important part.
It's not justice.
No, you're right.
Okay, the fact that how much money you throw down is not justice. And there's things that are just completely illegal that people don't quite understand. Like, one of our greatest tools is the writ of habeas corpus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's called the Great Writ, the Extraordinary Writ. Okay, it's above the king. Okay, way back in England, 1215, I forget which king it was. I think it was King John, maybe. I'm not the best with this, and my English relatives would cut my head off if I could. But the King John was something like 16 years old or something like that, and he was he's a 16-year-old king. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. And so basically, people were like, wait a minute, hey, settle down, dude. And basically the writ of habeas corpus was brought forward to bring the body forward. And it basically is about liberty. In the United States, the habeas corpus is what saved and got us through the Civil War.
What?
And everything, the aftermath of that. We have to understand that
habeas corpus basically means your due process, and during the Civil War, briefly habeas corpus was suspended. What?
This thing of property is one of the most sacred, important things there is. It represents everything in terms of freedom. And the founding fathers, which I like to call the founding young studs, who basically were telling England, screw off, you're not taking all my money, because that's basically what the battle was. It was in court, and it's like, you're taxing me for all my stuff, forget it. They knew and really understood liberty and didn't like to get locked up. As a matter of fact,
those slave owners sure understood liberty.
I think if you look up stuff on William Penn,
it wasn't in a court wars for.
He hated anything to do with jail because he spent a lot of time in jail. So this writ of habeas corpus is about liberty, and you can see things, and liberty encompasses everything: your religion, and your right to worship, to have a family, to be a free man. So I've used this writ of habeas corpus, and some of the stuff is pretty amazing because the judges that I've gone up against, I've had here in the state of Connecticut, the judges have refused the habeas corpus. Now, just so you know, you can't refuse the habeas corpus. As a matter of fact, the statute here in Connecticut, it's statute CGS 52-467 states that if you refuse a habeas corpus, you are guilty of contempt of court. Not that you're going to be charged. No, you're guilty. So all these judges that I put things forward with and using that, it's like, oh, you're guilty. You're guilty. Next.
Does Kat know her stream is bisexual? I just noticed the color scheme.
So I filed things, arrest without warrant here in the state of Connecticut. I'm using that all the way through the federal courts and all the way to the Supreme Court right now, which is CGS 54-170 is arrest without warrant, or like a citizen's arrest.
Yeah, I know about that.
Right. So get back to the perspective on this stuff. We are at war.
We're not.
Okay. And the enemy is from within. That's the only way to take this country. Okay. And what they're doing is they're seizing everyone's property. They've preyed on the...
What's habeas corpus? Basically to make sure that you have a due process before you're detained. Making sure that you have the right to due process. The government can't just hold you indefinitely without some sort of justification, without charges that have been looked at, and have some sort of reasonable, like, reason, redundant, you know.
Weak, they preyed on the poor. They set people up into situations where you're right on the edge, and then they crush you. They're just seizing, okay? And here's the thing. It's pretty simple. Justice Gorsuch just put it forward, or reaffirmed it, if you will. Talk about, like, you know, doing your vows again or something, remarrying us to the Constitution. Justice Gorsuch's ruling in SEC versus Jarkizi case, where he basically said all these issues have to be tried in an Article III court, and anything involving property requires a trial by jury. Nobody's had trial by jury involving these foreclosures.
That's
None.
right. That's right.
So everything's null and void that's been done. These are all tribunals. They're all kangaroo courts. And that's another little fun nugget that I learned, which maybe some people know. But a group of kangaroos, okay, is a mob. I just love that. When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder it's kangaroo justice.
Right.
But if you really look, when you get into the details of this stuff, and there are simple things for people to look at. None of the contracts, your original contract on your mortgage is no good. It's not against another party. I bet if you actually look at your mortgage, the counterparty didn't even sign it. And if you look into the UCC, you'll see that that's an invalid it's an unenforceable contract. It's just like you writing a check, and you can just say, no, sorry, I'm not on a check. Give me all the money I gave you, give it back. So really, in reality, they owe us the payments back.
Okay, so not only does he not want to pay his second mortgage, he thinks he's owed all his payments. What a dick.
I agree.
So this is a war, and even to this day, with what we're hearing now, with everybody talking about judges, and you got to impeach a judge. No, you don't. In Article 3, it talks about judges in good behavior. Okay? That means we can arrest them. These are just people. They do criminal acts. That's it. You're getting arrested. You're no different than anybody else. You're not a god and you're not a king. And
is he not familiar with, like, you can't, the way that it is supposed to work in law is that a judge can't be held personally liable for the results of, like, their ruling. Like, you can't be like, I don't like how you ruled, so XYZ. That's not how this works.
And this is what I think has to happen. Now, I believe this is my own personal opinion, that, they're trying to save the system in so many ways. The lawyers have created this system to control everything. There's a lot of power there. What's kind of scary is I don't think they really realize it's almost like full-on communism, and the virus
Everything I don't like is communism.
is going to take out the lawyers too. But you don't hear, when you listen to the media, you don't hear about any lawyers talking about arresting anyone. You don't hear anything about when Trump was in that silly stuff. President Trump was in basically a kangaroo court in New York City. There was no lawyer saying, we've got to go after the judge.
Right.
No, they never will.
Because that's not how it's supposed to work. All right. Looks like he has a document here at the end. We're only halfway through this and not enough time to do it all today. So let's at least see if you have a lawsuit or something he wants to show Kat. Let's take a look.
And treason. And I refund clerk. I named the chief clerk because his corpus did some games, and I've got him on administrative violations and treason because the chief clerk, I named the chief clerk because he returned stuff back to me.
Oh, he's writing a writ of mandamus to the Supreme Court? Okay.
Inappropriately. And I refiled naming him and charging him.
To be clear, this means he's telling the Supreme Court, hey, Supreme Court, do your job, you fucks. That's what this means in legal talk. I hate the Supreme Court. Doesn't your mother want you? This isn't some sort of communist daycare center.
And I have not heard back yet on that. And I
Tell
also
your mother I hate her. Tell your mother I hate you.
Public notice on February 18th that
Desperate Living. Look it up.
The Supreme Court has no authority to adjudicate and has committed treason and domestic terrorism. Please know that these public notices filed in court, in these courts, the maximum law that if you do not deny, you admit. And there's been no rebuttals, nothing.
Right.
The Supreme Court isn't taking my nonsense, ill-formatted paperwork seriously. I clearly win.
And that's the thing. They're admitting. So they say nothing. And that is, in fact, tacit acquiescence. So they're admitting guilt by not saying anything. If we were to do that in these courts, and I don't believe these courts are really for us. And, they pull us and they drag us into these courts as if they have jurisdiction. But
if you get dragged into the court, they do have jurisdiction.
We're finding out that they're inferior courts. You brought up Neil Gorsuch. He's exposing these people that act like judges, but they're only hearing officers. They're administrative positions, and people are losing their homes, and they're making these huge decisions that are affecting millions and millions of people. Like, who gives them the right to steal a child, to kidnap a man or woman, to put, what gives them these rights? So
the Constitution.
It's getting to the point.
Thanks for asking. Maybe read it sometime. It outlines a lot of governmental powers.
Where people are starting to finally wake up to what's going on. And I wanted to move over to this judicial notice that you had put up. This went out March 18th. Can you tell us what this is?
Yeah, this went today. This actually I put in today. But I do want to touch on something that we're talking about right now.
Okay.
So when I started seeing all the fraud in court, I realized, I said, oh my gosh, these judges have judicial immunity. How do I take out judges? Right?
Dangerous thought.
How do I get them? Okay, they
Hello, FBI.
don't have absolute immunity. In other words, if they don't do their administrative duty, the administrative side, okay, you can take them right out. Okay. So, in other words, like, just because you're a judge doesn't mean you get to run red lights, right? Now, the reason I then decided to take all this on is I started seeing the human trafficking. I started.
Again, by human trafficking, they mean arrests. They mean
Getting
arrests.
people would come up to me in court and tell me about their problems because they hear me in court dealing with these judges. And they started telling me about other kids were taken from them, that basically they don't even know where their children are, that all kinds of horrible things.
I'm
right?
hearing that too.
And probate,
I don't know how to break this to you. Have you considered that those parents had their kids taken away for a good reason? Like, I know that that's sad and they're probably upset. But do you really think there aren't situations where people rightfully have their children taken away because they're abusive or negligent in some way? Like, can you really not imagine that?
It's disgusting, all the stuff, right? But the problem with those courts is there's a lot of the human dynamic there. It's a lot of gray stuff. He said, she said, things like that, right? So it's very hard when you have fraud and liars and cheaters and, you know, litigation privilege that the lawyers have, which means they can lie out their ass, okay, to nail them down. So what I really...
To be clear, it is against the rules for lawyers to lie. I'm also not stupid. I'm not saying no lawyer ever lies, but to say that... To be clear, you're not supposed to lie, and if you get caught lying, it's a big deal. Put that out there.
Realized as I said, you know what? If I nail down this foreclosure stuff, this administrative stuff, right, which they're just rubber stamping, the whole thing comes tumbling down because I can attack every judge administratively. And that's what I've done initially. And as I've gotten further into this, it's gone to a higher level. Now, a few years ago, somebody showed me something which has all of a sudden hit me like somebody sent it to me a couple weeks ago that hit me like a freight train because I didn't know what it meant. A few years ago, I saw this thing about stuff going on with, and I was looking at it because of stuff that involves some corporate stuff with trading that I was doing at the time. And it was in 1990, there was an act that was signed that was the Civil Judicial Reform Act of 1990. And somebody sent me recently a video and I re-looked at the thing and I said, oh my Lord, holy cow, I can't believe I didn't think of this. I didn't see it and didn't remember it. And this I want to explain real simple because people all of a sudden will realize how we're under attack. So in 1990, George H.W. Bush made into law a law that was brought forward and proposed by a Senator Joseph Biden. So we can take the politics out of it. Okay. And this was the Civil Justice Reform Act of 1990. Okay. And what I filed, and I'm just going to summarize.
Freyline says, people I know can't be awful abusive parents. It's this outside them that's abusive and bad. Unfortunately, how a lot of people think.
What I put into, I sent to the Supreme Court a writ of mandamus. It's
mandamus. Writ of mandamus.
Basically to post and serve. I have named the Supreme Court and the Congress of the United States and any personnel required to take an oath to the U.S. Constitution to administer their duty. I'm charging them, and I name the crimes. But basically, this public notice states the following. The Supreme Court and Congress of the United States have no authority to adjudicate, govern, or legislate, as they are...
What? That's literally their jobs.
...war with the U.S. Constitution and engage in acts of treason. The Supreme Court and Congress are an enemy of the American people, executing seditious conspiracy, domestic terrorism,
Rid of Matt Damus.
racketeering, and treason by willful violations of their oath and duty. Now, I want to read you just my statement of truth because it'll all make sense to you when you hear this, if that's okay.
Yes, please do.
All right. Let me just get to it. And you should know, so this went to the Supreme Court. This was also sent to the clerk of the House of Representatives and to what's known as the Secretary of the Senate Parliamentarian. And that woman is supposed to give notice to every one of the senators. So the clerk for the House is supposed to give notice to every one of the senators. And so everybody's got it. It's public notice. Actually, all I have to do is put it in the Supreme Court and it's public record. Anyways, here's the statement of truth. The 101st Congress, with the signature of President George H.W. Bush, made the Civil Justice Reform Act of 1990 into law. This was a subtle and significant war on the Constitution. It was the seizure of the judicial branch, placing it under the control of Congress.
No.
Thus seizing total control of the United States government. Please note, the Supreme Court has not used its well-established power of judicial review, Marbury versus Madison.
I was literally going to say, is he going to cite it?
1803.
You don't have to cite Marbury versus Madison. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to directly cite it.
To defend the Constitution from the enemy seizure. The Supreme Court's tacit acquiescence affirms its complicit participation engaging in war against the Constitution. I think that's timely with what Justice Roberts did today with the president's stuff. Everything after the Civil Justice Reform Act of 1990 is void, a nullity. Congress and the Supreme Court have no authority to adjudicate, govern, or legislate. It is unlawful for the enemy to do so. And here's where we get into it's easier to follow. Question, friend or foe? Seditious conspiracy and the Civil Justice Reform Act of 1990. Seditious conspiracy. So you know, this is Title 18, U.S. Code 2384. If two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy, to force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property.
Did I glitch out for a second?
Of the United States, contrary to the authority thereof, they shall each be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. Now, let's look at the Civil Justice Reform Act, bill introduced by Senator Joseph Biden, made law by the 101st Congress and signed by President George H.W. Bush.
Jesus Christ. All right. I think we're probably done.
And the judges won't look, it like you said, they're enemies of the people, flat out. And
you're just wrong. You're just wrong.
Act like they're nice people. And they'll do things in our community like they're serve hot dogs and beans. But, you know, on
I like hot dogs and beans.
Some kind of community, but it's just one. Oh, what is that? Is that
that's my actual eviction, just some of the cops on the front lawn.
Yeah.
And there were 55 cops.
Unbelievable.
And but wait. I got my Shazam moment. I got my Shazam. I know that you guys all got to go, but this is important for everybody in the United States.
Yeah, we want to see it.
Wait a minute. This okay. So you understand that document and public notice that I put in there, since everybody's wowed by dollars, we the people bill of complaint, which they're in default. The Supreme Court is in default on this, on the bill of complaint. I filed for.
I'm sorry, just the idea that the Supreme Court would default on something by not responding is so funny to me.
33.
You know how many people work at the fucking Supreme Court and clerk for the goddamn Supreme Court? That just slipping through would be so funny if it was an actual real case, you know?
155,862,000,000 for we the people. It's $100,000 based on the census clock of $100,000 for 337,558,620 people. So $100,000 for injustice in the United States. Now, here's the spiritual side of this. That $33.75 trillion comes out almost to what our national debt is. Now, guess what else? How did you come up with the $100,000? We're at war. That is the military death gratuity as of July 1, 2008. So I use that. Now, let's go the other side to see if the number is reasonable. The U.S. government value for a human life as of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services values in 2024 a human life at $13.1 million. They use it for cost benefit analysis. If I take the $13.1 million and divide it into the 33 trillion odd that I came up with, that comes out to 2,576,000 people, which is 0.75, 3/4%. So do you think injustice impacts 0.75%? Possibly killed, errors, things, letting people out? I think so. So guess what? The number's good. And they're in default. The U.S. Supreme Court and the U.S. government are in default on that, and it's all been filed appropriately and everything else. And I only do that because I'm like, Elon Musk, come on.
Life. Just a world full of crazy people looking up to richer, crazy people. What a world.
We're at 33.75 trillion. Let's pay attention to this.
Absolutely. Nope. It's time we, the people, experience the abundance that God wants his people to have. You know, we are the head, we are not the tail. And they've just flipped it all around, but time we, the people, flip it around back on them. So I just want to thank you so much, Andrew, for being on my show. I appreciate, again, your fight and what you're doing, even sending out paperwork today. And you know what? Got to stand up. That's what we got to do. A lot of these people have committed high treason against we, the people, and that deserves a rope around their neck. If
Oh! Oh, she just said that. She just said that out loud on the internet. This channel does not condone violence of any sort officially.
Especially if they're going to continue to push forward against the people and break God's law, natural law, protected by the Constitution.
Yes.
That's all that it's time that we, the people, lock arms and start saying no more. We're not putting up with this. They keep hurting us when we've committed no crime.
You didn't commit a crime, but you did breach the contract you signed with your mortgage. That's why you lost your house. You're not in jail, but you lost your house.
And
correct.
And so, anyways, thanks again. God bless everyone. I appreciate you all. Let's get the truth out together and become part of a movement to save the world. And hit that like button, please, please, please hit the like button and share
You're on YouTube. Hit my like button.
this video.
Yeah.
Let's all get together, band together, and let's end
Can
this.
you post that public notice?
Do
you have a place to post it?
I could post it on my website if
all right. I think that's it for today. This was a long one, at least it feels like it. Thank you everyone for hanging out. I really appreciate you. Tomorrow I will be back to do meme stocks. It's been a while since we've checked in on the meme stock people, PP, Marantz, the Ape Father, etc. So, tune in for that if you enjoy the meme stock nonsense. It should be a fun one. A lot to cover. Let's see who we're gonna raid.
Can I hide?
right, have a great night, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go make tacos. Burritos. I'm gonna go make burritos. All right, have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Do 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 do. That's the end of the stream.